And we are live. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the VR Link. How you doing? Sorry, we was too busy chatting. Nice. Actually, I'll just rush back in. But yeah. So
are we okay?
we are. Yeah, this is your weekly Sunday service VR podcast that gives you and us a chance to sit back and discuss some of the latest news, games, and goings on in virtual reality. Allow me to introduce to this week's co-host. We've got Salsa from SalsaKetchupVR.
He is
He's,
on his way back. There he is.
Oh, he's back. He's done this twice to me now. He's done this twice to me now. Sals,
2 weeks in a row.
just say hello.
Hello.
And we got tech guru Tyriel Wood,
Hey, how are you?
an electric hat developer, the guy who made To The Top, Dan Dunham.
What's up, y'all?
How you doing, man? How you doing?
All I can say is I have to apologise. You have to wash your hands, people.
You do have to.
You have to wash your hands.
That's
For
right.
30 seconds, that's why there was that delay.
Yeah, you got. Yeah, man. Like it takes ages, doesn't it? When I heard wash your hands for 20 seconds, I thought that's not too bad. But when you're doing it, it's like
Yeah.
this is a
That's
long.
time. It's commitment.
It is a long time.
Yeah.
If you're not sure.
Singing a lot of happy birthday.
Oh yeah, that actually works out 20 seconds, doesn't it?
Mhm.
The game in the middle of the screen currently is To The Top. It is available on all platforms, but officially Oculus Quest. But you can grab it via SideQuest. It is a fantastic game. Is the multiplayer available on SideQuest or not? Is that
The
what was
multiplayer
missing?
doesn't work on SideQuest because it relies on the matchmaking system, and SideQuest doesn't have one, so no multiplayer.
No multiplayer, unfortunately. Yeah, man. That's, and that was one of those amazing things. But yeah, like on every other system, man, you need to check this out if possible. I would also. Oh, well, where am I? Where am I? I've completely lost myself. Finally, if you're on the move, you can listen again on Spotify and Anchor. I would like to thank the fantastic patrons and channel members whose names are listed below, as always, every week. We've also got a community Discord in the link there. I've just found out we've got 700 members in our Discord, which is absolutely crazy. So yeah, I hope you've all had a good week. Today we are going to talking about the HP Reverb G2, which is the reason I've dragged Tyriel here, and we're going to be talking. Yeah, he didn't know, and we're going to be talking about other things, but among that, the PlayStation 5 showcase, which is coming up, and just. Just talk about what we're expecting from that. They did put out like an official statement about what they're going to be putting out on that, but not any details as such. Just it's going to be a lot of games, and it's going to be over an hour long as well. So it's not going to be one of those like 20-minute, disappointments. I don't think. I hope not. I'm pretty excited. But yeah, guys. So everyone's all right. Yeah, how's everyone doing in chat? Terrell looks perfect. He's so lovely, isn't he? He's so smiley as well.
Mwah.
He's so smiley. Excellent. So what's everyone been playing this week? Let's start with Dan, who I know is a busy developer. What have you been playing this week, Dan?
Oh, actually, I've been playing a couple of different things. I've been playing through Naughty Dog's old library. So I've been playing a lot of Jack this week, and then
Jack and Daxter.
I've also Jack and Daxter.
Oh,
yeah.
Jack and Daxter's such a good game.
Yeah, that was good.
And then I've also been playing some Assassin's Creed because it was on sale on Epic, I think. So I was like, oh, I should play these. I haven't played some of these newer Assassin's Creed games, so I went on ahead and grabbed those. So I've been playing that. On the VR side, let's see, I finished up Saints and Sinners.
On what platform?
Saints and Sinners I played on PlayStation. Yeah, I played that through on
Nice.
PlayStation. Yeah. And then I did Alyx before Saints and Sinners, actually. I finished up Alyx. And then... yeah, that's pretty much it. I haven't been playing. Oh, and then I've been playing. I use Beat Saber for sort of exercise during quarantine. Instead of going out and running, I like Beat Saber. And then so I've actually been using Supernatural. I went on ahead and paid for it and been using it like the past
Oh,
month.
wow.
Okay.
Just to see. And it's actually pretty good. It's pretty fun. It is very Peloton-y, where they have the person sort of giving you the encouragement and stuff as you go, which is great. But I think the thing that I like about it is that there's a lot of variation, with you get different workouts and different beat maps and stuff like that all the time.
I've heard the music is obviously all official licensed music as well from various artists. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a topic in itself, really. We had someone in the community, Oculus Game Cat. He basically did like a information list for me of his thoughts, and he's also been like on Zoom calls with the developers talking about new pricing. You know, because they've obviously reached out to the community because there was like a backlash of how much. Pretty much that was it. How much? And they're trying different angles, but everyone I know who has used it loves it. I don't know anyone who hasn't said otherwise personally. Yeah, they're all very happy with it. So, are you paying for this like annually or?
I did the annual one mostly just because I wanted to support the developers and try and get them going, because it is interesting to see VR being used in something besides just games. Like, okay, we can use this as something outside of that.
Yeah.
Even if it education or something. But this is an interesting idea, and so I just wanted to support them and give it a real try for myself. Trying it, like, at least do a 20-minute at a minimum workout 5 days a week and see what that does. And I'm about 2 weeks into that right now. So.
Right. Okay. Cheers for letting us know, Alyx. Thank you very much. I'm trying to. I think I've got the volume levels about right now. Hopefully, all I've got to go by is like a equalizer. So, and it sort of looked okay. You were saying you was a little bit quiet. That's all. But I've turned you up now. Hopefully that's okay. So, what was I going to say to you? So, how many days have you had it for again? Sorry, I might have missed you.
About 2 weeks. I've done. I think I've done 8 or 9 days.
And you got the app, and that works. I take it on like your iWatch or something, and does it count your calories for you?
I have a Samsung watch, and it doesn't work with my Samsung watch yet. They said that they're working on the API to get it implemented into their app, but right now
that's Tizen, is it?
No, this one's actually the Samsung Gear S3.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I'm saying the operating system is built in.
Oh yeah.
It's Tizen,
Yeah, but they're working on their end for the, trying to get it integrated. They have a couple of different backends that they're working on integrating, but it does work with the Apple Watch, and it works with like there's a chest strap that you can get that works with that too.
Huh.
Nice, man, nice. So what have you been up to, Tyriel? What have you been playing this week?
Mostly like a Premiere Pro, I guess. From
I know what he's been drinking
to edit videos, but
I know what he's been drinking this week.
Good.
This is called Aperol.
Aperol Spritz.
Aperol Spritz. Sorry, I made it completely wrong. Tyriel roasted me, and apparently I've got it right now. So it's like one.
Is it good? That's my first question.
Is it good? It's got better. I think in the beginning it was a little bit bitter. And it's actually calmed down now, smoothed out a bit. So.
Okay, yeah, probably it's the ice that's melting a little too.
Yeah, it's nice, man.
It helps to squeeze the orange a little.
Oh, mate.
If it for you is too bitter.
Right. It's refreshing. It's really refreshing.
And thanks to Skiva, by the way. To the Top is one of the best VR games ever made. You guys are all the best. Keep up the good work, everyone. And that was $5. Thank you very much for that.
$5. Thank you ever so much. That is lovely. Cue our salsa clip. So German. That's the wrong one. Goal!
I'm on the delay, so I haven't seen.
There you go. There's like a few second clip that might pop up on the stream.
Oh, we got the faulty one.
Yeah, I did. Okay. I put the faulty one up by accident.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, this isn't like normal podcast. This is like just people getting together and having a talk. Yeah, so so obviously go on.
Yeah, I was editing like a lot, so I didn't play much, but I had the awesome opportunity to play with Mr. GT Tower Tag. That was super fun.
It's very fun.
Super fun. I wish I was able to play it also yesterday, but I couldn't. And what did I play? I'm really in driving simulators lately, so I'm playing a lot of like Project Cars or like Assetto Corsa, because I really love that.
Have you tried Automobilista 2 yet? Or
no, I didn't try it yet. I'm very interested in that. I tried Assetto Corsa Competizione. That is the latest one.
How are you doing the performance settings on that? Do you do okay?
What?
The performance settings for that was okay.
Yeah. For Competizione, it's very bad, the performance, to be honest. Very bad.
It's hard to get it right.
Yeah, they switched to Unreal Engine, and so it's very slow. I don't think it's the
It's
engine
been
for
Unreal from the start.
Is it?
To be fair, yeah.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, Competizione has been Unreal Engine development from the start.
Yeah. No, but they switched from the first one because Assetto Corsa,
the
the regular
first
one, it wasn't, right?
That's
it was
right.
a proprietary. Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
I feel it didn't work to go to Unreal Engine in that case.
Yeah, they've had a bumpy road on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting up and down. There are some tricks to getting it to work a little bit nicer.
Okay, so I wait for your tricks.
Yeah, but mainly you do have to rely a little on reprojection, which is not great.
Yeah, for
what I am finding is it's actually usually due to a bottleneck in AI cars on the track that causes a drop in FPS on that side, which is a shame. But when you get it running right, it can look amazing and can be a very, very immersive game.
No, yeah, because I see so many streams that have these awesome graphics, and when I got in, I was like, "What the heck is this?" Like,
what is this trash?
What did I see before? Like, so I'm really trying to see if I can fix it, and I'm happy to hear
the big clue is everything's set to low, and there's a sharpness setting, which is right down one of the last sharpness. Put it to 300%. And then work all the other stuff up to where you can to keep your FPS up high. The sharpness setting seems to be the big key.
Okay, I will try. Also because I have a 2080 Ti, so it should run, but instead it doesn't.
Yeah, it's the CPU clock that's actually killing it a bit on there. But that seems to be the answer to it is the sharpness setting first, then pull everything else up,
the rest.
And you will find that there'll be some balance point where you suddenly go, "Oh, that's actually working now! Yay!"
Sounds a lot like No Man's Sky in this thing.
Yes, very much so.
Tech. That's what it was.
We are boring. We're very boring.
A lot of it.
I love it.
Excellent.
And then that's it. That's what I'm playing. I've been playing pretty much. And some final. This is flat, so I'm sorry, but I'm playing Minecraft Dungeons.
Oh, nice! You got it on Game Pass
with Heather, yes, with my girlfriend, and it's awesome. It's super fun. It's like Diablo, but it's fun. Instead, you laugh instead of being like always like serious and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, I wanted to actually I wanted to watch my kids play it, but they just didn't want to play it at the moment until I told them PewDiePie's playing it. So hopefully they're going to want to play it now.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, man.
No, it's very fun. You can play in 4 people, I think, in the same like console or PC.
You're not alone there. So Mr. Hartley in the chat there is also on Minecraft Dungeons.
Nice. Literally, the first time I played actual normal Minecraft was in VR about a month ago. I've never played Minecraft before. And
I haven't done it yet.
It was a crazy learning curve, dude. Seriously.
Minecraft in VR is like an amazing game. Like you can't, like I have many people that I know that hate Minecraft, with me included, because I never liked it. But when you try it in VR, it's so immersive. It's like it works.
It is amazing.
It works so well.
What I want is the experiment of where they've done, RTX has done, NVIDIA has done the path traced version as an experiment.
It doesn't work in VR.
Yeah, exactly. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But I want someone to be able to go, right, there's the path trace version. Now we've put the VR onto it as well. Because I want to get that as a development thing, where some of this is, some of these extra bits of cores and stuff that I've paid for in the graphics cards working for VR, because there's hardware here that's sitting in my machine, which I'm going, is that actually being used for any developments coming out at the moment?
Well, I know that Pimax uses it for the for VR rendering, the fixed for VR rendering. If you have an RTX, you can use those cores for that. But beside that, I think nobody's using them. Then that's a shame.
Well, your next gen, I think your next gen non VR games are definitely using it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I haven't heard of anybody using it in VR yet. Sorry, I'm gonna go grab my stool here. I haven't heard of anybody using it in VR yet, but I'm sure there's somebody out there at least trying it. But yeah.
Apparently, we are all amazing. Thank you, South Memphis, for the crispy $20
Crispy
donation there.
$20. Thank you ever so much, man.
Super
Yes.
There it is again.
There it is. It's gone, and I'll see myself playing back right there.
We had Pixel Ripped, yeah. Anna Ribeiro was on our show, and Salsa decided to do a impression of a Mexican goal scorer. Brazilian. Sorry, yeah. Was it a goal scorer or just like a? Someone...
No, a football caster.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
You're an announcer, and of course they always do. I can't do a new edition, can I? I can't spoil it, but I did the impression of the goal, as you've seen.
Yeah,
which has now also been done as an animation, which we haven't showed them the animation yet.
No, we might do later on. So yeah, but thank you everyone. Cheers. Salso, what have you been playing this week? If you had any chance.
Well, I have. We had The Line, which is a nice little animation. It's only it's like £4. It's from Arvor Studios as well.
Yep.
It's very sweet. It's very short. It's very well made. It's on the Quest. It uses the hand tracking as well, a limited amount. So there's a couple of things to sort of like pull and jog on, but it's mainly a little narrative story to follow. It's very much of the diorama, stop motion kind of thing, which you're now got going on there. So, very beautiful. Beautiful little thing.
It is beautiful. I did like a mini review on it because it also uses the hand tracking. Did you say that? I didn't hear you because I was
yes.
Yeah, I hope they do more with that because it's a stationary experience. Even though Alyx had teleportation, didn't it? Like you could use Alyx hand tracking.
Yeah, you can do the type thing.
Waltz of the Wizard was that one.
Waltz of the Wizard is that one.
Waltz of the Wizard is that.
And
Alyx
the other one. Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah, it was really strange experience.
He's sort of like he's wanting to burst out and laughing there, and when we're doing stuff. But anyhow, going back to that, I think it's a nice little animation.
It's awesome, man. So I think when it comes to these short stories, I'm a little bit stuck because sometimes when you watch something or do something like that, you don't need to go back to it, kind of thing. It's once it's done, it's done. But when it comes to like the amount it cost, I was like, well, because of the genre, like it's a love story. It's kind of like a Toy Story feel to it. I know my wife's going to watch it. I know my daughter's going to watch it. So therefore, you've got nearly half an hour out of it for $5 or £3.
I think for that, and then I think if you've got anybody you're introducing newly to VR, that's a really super sweet way to introduce someone.
Yeah.
Just their first sort of like 5-10 minutes watching something kind of magically coming alive.
Yeah, what I didn't actually grab was another one that come out this week was Gloomy Eyes.
Yeah, Gloomy Eyes is a hell of a lot better.
Oh, okay.
In terms of length.
Right, I don't know. I haven't tried Gloomy Eyes yet.
Yeah, it's a much longer kind of affair, Gloomy Eyes. It's a more involved story. It goes much deeper in different ways. It has a lot more room scale about Gloomy Eyes.
Yeah.
If you're going to watch Gloomy Eyes, you actually want a really big play space.
Okay.
Ideally, you want to have that full-on sort of like 3 meter square kind of play space to watch Gloomy Eyes in, because you can end up moving all around with it and coming close to it, and it's an incredible animation like that. It's not like any other form of scripted narrative guided story or animation that you can see in any other format other than VR.
Nice.
And
nice.
that connection as a person to narrative in that way is immense.
How long is it? How long is the game length? Sorry.
I can't remember. It's like about a good sort of like, it's a good 20, 30 minutes at least. It's more.
So Derivative
40
said
minutes, 40 minutes.
he picked it up. It was pretty good, but there was zero interaction.
There is no interaction. It is purely narrative story.
Okay.
And it is on Viveport. So if you have Viveport subscription, highly recommend you get a Viveport subscription. But like I say, it is best if you do actually have a good amount of play space to view that in.
What else did you check out this week, mate?
I checked out the some Half-Life Alyx update with
nice.
the mod.
Yeah.
The liquid.
Yeah, there it is.
The
He's
liquid
got the
shape. I mean, from a development standpoint, we have Dan here as well on development side of things. I don't know how much you've checked out with.
He said he finished it. When did the update come out? About 4 days ago, so he might have missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I missed the update.
Yeah, they've added animation map or whatever with all the lighting and transparency for liquids in the bottles.
Oh.
And it literally just speed of shaking things around and whatever and angles. And of the mods that are out there, somebody already made a water pistol mod from that update that happened.
Sure. Yeah.
With the water gun actually draining down and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably
awesome.
one of the greatest things about Valve's games is they're always going to be mods, and the mods are going to spawn some crazy stuff. Yeah, I mean, we're going to
keep it alive.
Yeah, well, not just keep it alive. Like that Dota was a mod, Counter-Strike was a mod. So you know what I'm saying? Like somebody somewhere is going to turn Half-Life Alyx mod into some crazy freaking thing.
Yeah, without doubt.
I can't wait for that moment.
Yeah, it's awesome. And,
Definitely.
and you can use the workshop really easily now, can't you? It's actually in the game now. So
it's in the game, yeah. It's gonna open like the page already of the workshop. You just download it directly from VR, and then you have it in the list. It's super cool.
I think
it's like they did a great integration. The only thing is like you have to go back and forth with in the menu because
that was a little bit.
Yeah, where there's the list, you have to activate it and then create a new game, and then from the new game select a mod. It's a little weird there, but at least everything is in VR and you don't need to get out.
What's your favorite mods so far then? Because I've only checked out like 3 mods. What's your favorite mods on there so far? You didn't like the Wolfenstein one? I loved the Wolfenstein one. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, there's good stuff like that. I did like actually having a horde mode to sort of like try and go through where you can still try and upgrade the weapons, which is still one of the earliest and one of the best. But I think it's just waiting for the really good stuff to hit in yet. People are working away in the background, and when they've got something really good, it's going to shine and rise to the top.
Yeah.
But with this latest update,
rise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate those words. Talking about Half-Life.
What else? Anything else, Salsa?
I also played Automobilista 2 as well, which just got another update. So that they've outlined as well what's happening with their updates. Again, this developer talk communication is a great thing about VR as well, I think. As evidence here, we've had developers talking here and members of the tech community and all that sort of thing, which you don't get on the other side of games. So that having that good communication while games are in the early access stages and stuff like that has been very good for the community on that. And it's looking good for, I think, middle of next month should be the full release of Automobilista 2. Its force feedback is working really well. It's built on Project Cars 2 Madness engine. So for VR, it works really good. but it's got more refinement. They're working a lot more on the refinement. They're adding more cars, so you've got nice sort of like 60s, 70s cars coming in, new tracks, 80s cars coming in, some of the German cars coming in, some of the touring cars are going to be on the way in. A huge amount of content is going to be added to that game. And I know a lot of people out there were sort of like, and a lot of people have made some fun of me on that one when I went, okay, when I got that, I dropped over $100 for that game.
You love your
before
racing
release.
games, man. You love your racing games, simple as. So
I do love my racing games.
yeah.
And, you know, they are one of the sort of like, they're one of the just, they've shown such commitment in the past as developers, so that you have the faith in them to keep on looking and say, yeah, okay, I see what you're doing. I believe that you will put in the time and the work. So here, get it going, keep on moving.
No, that's cool, man. Because
And-
obviously there's always that thing about early access or Kickstarters or where the developers get some money and they get an idea and then it just dies. And, you know,
Yeah.
and, that happens.
And that's not really the case that I see with them there. And of course, this also, the controversial part is the price of, say, their season pass, which is expensive.
What
then
do you
you
mean? I
look
thought the $100 is part of the season pass, yeah?
Yeah, I get the season pass, but the season pass is nearly is 80, 90 quid anyway.
All right. So the game.
Yeah,
So how much is the game?
the game will be about 40, 45 pounds.
And the season pass is.
I think it's about 80 or 90
And
quid.
that's everything, isn't it? Then you don't have to pay for anything else like that.
The season, yeah, that'd be for basically these 2 years of full content.
Okay.
But is it gonna be support for mods in there in Automobilista too, or not?
That I'm uncertain of, because I mean, Risa themselves make, you know, a good amount of their work was making mods for other games like R Factor 2. They still do make different mods for R Factor 2 and AC as well. They make mods for Assetto Corsa as well. But here it's them doing their thing in the Madness engine. So, you know, we've got things like laser scans of Spa will be introduced. Spa
That's good.
is, of course, one of the things that everybody goes, where's Spa? Automobilista has a load of tracks that a lot of people have never heard of. Like they've got loads of Brazilian tracks and loads of these Brazilian builds of old cars. And they've also now bringing in cars from, like I say, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s.
Nice.
So that you can go back in time and kind of rework the racing glories of the past as well. And of course, the force feedback and everything else in there is really working well. And that's something they are well noted for, is how good they work and focus on making cars fun to drive.
Boom. There you go. So yeah, Automobilista. I will have to check it out at some point. Is it like a demo or anything like that? Or
No, not yet.
all right, cool. No worries.
Well, it's on Steam, so it's a demo.
It's it's on Steam. Play if you don't like within the first 2 hours, claim it back.
Exactly.
Nice. Yeah, so I checked out Oculus Quest hand tracking with Alyx and Waltz of the Wizard. I then checked out The Line. And then I checked out Deism. Has anyone tried Deism before? It's like Populous, basically, in VR. That's pretty cool. You can get it on SideQuest. It's also available on Steam. While I was streaming it, I found out the game isn't even finished. So I got to a point where the civilizations couldn't get any further because he hadn't put in any fabric for them to make clothes. And they're all saying to me, I need clothes. And that was the end of the stream. Yeah, I was like, what? And then I checked out Sharks of Mars. That was bloody amazing.
Yeah, I'm yet to check out that one. And I keep on saying, do they have any lasers on their heads?
Yeah, I think it's coming. Like, if you follow the guy on Twitter, if you follow him on Twitter,
I did Twitter
oh, it
him.
was you, and he showed you the pictures he's been drawing of the game.
Well, he said, no spoilers.
Man,
maybe
as soon as I heard sharks and Mars, I was like, I'm in. That sounds amazing. Then I checked out Desolatium, which is a 360 point and click horror. It was good. I mean, it definitely made me jump. That's the thing. I was a bit like, this is okay. Like, point and click for me is Monkey Island back in the day. Like, that's I think about games like that, you know. Yeah, it's pretty good, and it still scared the crap out of me. That's for sure. And then I checked out Hotel R&R on PlayStation VR, but it's also available on Steam. Started off good, and then I got a little bit bored. It was very samey, but if you just like smashing stuff up, it's pretty cool. Checked out a little bit of Pro Putt on the Oculus Quest, and then Tower Tag, which was absolutely amazing. So what I'm going to do quickly, we're going to quickly have a look at the trailer, if you don't know what Tower Tag is, and we'll be right back.
3, 2, 1.
In the end.
Can I give some keys for
Here we go. We're here.
I have some.
Excellent. Yeah. So we just come back. Tyriel said he's got some keys for Tower Tag to put in a chat, which is pretty cool.
Be ready.
So be ready to grab those keys. If you do get one of those keys, please say thank you to Tyriel there, and obviously developers giving those keys away. That'd be great.
Yeah, thanks to the devs, not to me.
It's an amazing game, though.
Well, if you haven't, check out his videos later on after the stream for the other channels.
Yeah. I mean, when I played Tower Tag, so yeah, it was an arcade game, location based. They had physical plinths in the arcades, and obviously it was mapped right and stuff. And when I spoke to the developer, because he's in the video, I think me and Tyriel spoke to him actually, didn't we? The devs, is that right? He might have been.
Yeah. There were some devs there.
Yeah. So yeah, he was in with us, and basically he said they was making it, but kind of slowly. Nothing was really rushing them, and then Corona hit, so they're all at home. Obviously, VR arcades, I imagine, have suffered a lot because of this. And they released it on Steam, and I tell you what, it is bloody awesome. Like, while playing it, I kind of think, man, this could have been a great like TV show kind of game. It's so fantastic.
You know what? It's rare. I think it works very well because it's rare in VR to use your own space, and this game forces you to use your own space. And also, it's very fun because you have a pillar in the middle of the space that you like, where you take cover with and stuff. So you always go around. It is a little pillar, and you have like your space there. I feel like it works very well because it keeps you very engaged in the game instead of just being many shooters, like even like Pavlov, for example. You just go around using the stick.
Yeah.
You know, you wanna there instead, like you don't have the stick movements. You just have to use your body. So it's very fun because it feels like a laser tag. Exactly.
It does.
Like that.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Like, I honestly felt like when you're in crossfire and you're behind that plinth, I'm like, God, trying to hide. Do you know what I mean? And that is
you do the breathe in.
I probably
as well.
Yeah. Like lately with the lockdown, man, I'm always breathing in. So the gyms are closed.
Whereas I'm sort of like, VR is the greatest diet ever. You put on a headset and there's instant weight loss.
Nice. But yeah, like If you haven't checked out Tower Tag, I think it's $16. No, it's $20 or 22 US.
I finished $19.99 here in the US. Yeah,
yeah, and £15.
Probably 16 or £15. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like, I honestly think he's actually one of the best multiplayer games I've played in VR. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's how it felt. It felt so much fun.
Yeah. It's a 2v2.
No,
no, it's like
I think it's 5v5,
people?
wasn't it? It was either 8 or 10.
10,
So it can go
probably
up
10.
higher.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah. And there was 3 game modes, and I think there was also different maps as well, which I kind of didn't really recognise because it kind of looks the same, doesn't it? Like the backgrounds and stuff. So
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily notice, but then we was playing one level and there was like a tunnel going through the middle, and I was like, okay, I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, it's very like the aesthetic is very similar to Echo VR in a way, with this like very like a futuristic like panels around.
Yeah.
And another thing that is interesting though, and the three modes are like a capture you have to capture the flag on the other side.
That's it.
Or like have more territory than the others, or like it's just deathmatch. And there is the support in the game for haptics. So if you have the suit, you can actually use it, and that was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing because I was playing with that. Like every time GT was like, when we were in the just waiting to start the game, it was keep shooting me, and it was like vibrating like.
He said when the developers joined us, Tyriel was like, "You need to sort of turn the haptics down a little bit or make it," because when you shot him, dude, it was like 3 seconds of pain. It was so funny. It was brilliant, man. It was
so basically, you're saying it's like the Simpsons bit if you gave them the buzzer button.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah,
It was sort of like, if we want to electrocute Tyriel, shoot now.
That's it.
It's like some weird experiment, like psychological experiment where like the past, don't do it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what's weird. Like, so when you start doing like supporting VR and stuff, you end up getting a lot of emails from a lot of developers, a lot of indie developers, and you only got so much time to do certain videos. And this is one of the ones that I was a bit like, I don't know. And then I felt like an idiot once I played it. I was like, this is fantastic. I really hope people check it out, and I hope it builds a big enough player base, because I think he was saying in was it Asia or something? It was like over 1 million players have played this, and there is a guy, I can't remember his name now, but he's so good at this game. He's made more money than the developers playing it in tournaments. It's like a big esport.
That's crazy.
It's a big esport because there's also a bit of a tactic to it as well with capturing towers. If you capture a tower, like you hold it for a certain amount of time, obviously that the other team can't take that tower. 1, if you're on it, and 2, they need to spend time trying to get it if they want to get over to that tower, if that makes sense. So I hope it does.
And you also have just one end, so like you can't shoot while you're trying to get the new tower and stuff. So like there's also the double thing.
Yeah, I didn't even notice actually. Yeah, they said they wanted it to be one controller, and they also gave you the 3D printer information, didn't they? So you can print their gun from the arcade and play it. Like, I'm just saying, like, I wish I had a 3D printer. I wish I had haptics, because I was like, I'd spend so much time in this game. I think it's brilliant.
I love this stuff. I'm always like a big advocate of 3D printing in VR, because like it just works so well. Because in VR, like, you don't see the object when you're in VR. You see what's the virtual object. If you can have something that replicates like just a shape in a way that is like
that tactile feeling of something in your hands.
It gives you so much more. Gives so much more to the experience.
Yeah,
so much more. Like
big time.
Lately, I tried like even the tennis table. Like you can print the tennis like the little ping pong racket.
Nice.
Yeah, the paddle, and it's amazing. It's like it's totally a different game, because the immersion gets so like exponentially. Like it's amazing that it should be used more to be able to print stuff and for the games.
Yeah, having that tactile feedback. So have you guys tried the Void? Have any of you guys played the Void?
Yeah, I
that
did.
rings a bell.
Unfortunately not.
So-
The closest I got was Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
The Void.
So
The Void, yeah. So they did a traveling sort of show a while ago, and they had one here in Dallas for a few weeks. And so we went and it was the Star Wars experience,
Mhm.
and yeah, and they had like it's hand track because they're using Leap Motion and stuff like that. And I got in there, and the very first thing that you get to is the shuttle, and K2SO is like talking to you or whatever. And I was just like, oh, whatever. And I reached up to smack him on the head or whatever, but there was actually like a model of K2SO there, and I went, what? And I just about like passed. I was like, what the hell? This is crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
that sounds
Yeah, no.
brilliant.
Yeah, it's genius. Yeah, it's weird. You don't want to spoil too much about the experience, but
Right.
that's I think the little thing that I did as well with the little because the car you can touch everything and everything is
Right.
actually there. So it's not
Yeah.
just virtual. So they did a really good job. I tried Star Wars as well with the Void. Super cool.
What do you think about
But anyway, yeah, that haptic feedback. Is
was that so? Take it that was a location-based experience. Obviously, you just
yeah. The Void. For anybody who doesn't know the Void specializes in purely location-based experiences in sort of a mixed reality and VR side of things, where you have real physical objects, locations to walk through, and then you mix in that AR, VR type of experience on top of it. So you've got real world scale objects, real world objects mixed with things that could never be done in real life.
See, I've never done that. I've done a location-based game where I think it was Arizona Sunshine, and two of us done a whole level, and obviously it's like T for God, which is obviously where it goes, it manipulates you into thinking you're walking through these rooms and through this level. But I can't imagine what it must be like to pick something up or touch it in the game and it physically be there. That must be quite a freaky moment. Like, as you said, it's obviously something you can't forget. It must have been like a real...
That's a moment where you do exactly that. You pick up something in that you are supposed to pick up something, and because mostly you use your hands for everything, and then you pick up something, and when you have that thing in your hands, it's just like, it sounds very weird. So like,
it sounds like, no, I was looking at Midlife. He says he's going to roast a chicken and wear it for Half-Life Alyx.
That might work.
Oh man, awesome.
But yeah, it's like it's something that works very well in VR arcades because of course you can set up everything to make it work.
Nice. Yeah, I wish, like T for God. Have you all used T for God?
Mm-hmm.
That is superb. That is absolutely superb. I love that. So let me go over it. So Dan, thank you for joining us today. I'm going to quickly...
Thanks for having me.
I had a question, and you have come along to answer it. It's from our Discord. It's from, I think he's Unal, I think his name is. He was asking, what are the business opportunities in making a VR game? That was his question.
Well, that's interesting because there's different avenues that you can go. You can make a VR game that you then release and sell. You can make a VR game for somebody else. You can make VR apps that aren't necessarily games. There's a lot of industrial application for VR right now. So yeah, that's actually a pretty broad question. If you're not a game developer already, I would recommend looking at just in general, what does it look like to make a game and then release that, because it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
The only difference in VR is your audience is going to be a lot smaller, and so you have to be a lot more focused. Yeah, that's a pretty broad question. Can you ask it again one more time so I can refresh it?
Yeah, no worries, man. Basically, he asked about business opportunities. I guess from when you've made a game in VR, what business opportunities have come from it? You know, I'm assuming as well, because
so for us, our business model was premium, right? So we sell the game for money, and then you get the game. I think that most of VR is that way right now. I don't see a lot of VR apps that are free and then doing in-app microtransactions or anything like that.
Right.
As far as business opportunities. The other business opportunity that's there is for location-based entertainment. Although, at least for us, the location-based entertainment side of our revenue hasn't been nearly as big as just regular premium sales. So yeah, I think it depends on your app, and you just have to look at your app and then see where it fits best.
Yeah, cool.
That's a tough question. It really depends on your app. The answer is, as with all things in games, it depends.
Yeah. So I mean, going back a little bit of history on your side, is To the Top your first game, or I mean, how did you get into doing what you're doing in VR anyway?
So I've been working in games since 2011. I started working at Junction Point Studios on Epic Mickey, and then I moved on from there to King's Isle, and then moved on to Panic Button, where I got to work on lots of different IP and properties and stuff like that as an engineer. My role is an engineer. And so that's, I guess, how I got started was at the school that I was going to. I was going for a computer science degree. They had no game development club, so I started the game development club. And then because of that, I was the guy going out and getting speakers to come and talk to our club. And so when the time came to like look for an internship or something like that, I just went to my list as like, hey, do you guys have anything? And then that's kind of how I got in. So it was pretty serendipitous. I think that not a lot of developers have that opportunity. I think there's quite a few developers who just try and make something sort of in their garage and then launch it on Steam and kind of see where that goes. And I think that route is a lot more difficult. But it also depends on which direction you're trying to go when you're getting into game development. Do you want to go and work in AAA, or do you want to be an independent?
Be your own boss as well. Yeah,
be your own boss. That's that's got its own advantages and drawbacks and stuff like that. But as far as Electric Hat Games and what I did, I was actually working full-time at Panic Button while I was making To the Top. So to go back a little bit even further, Richard and I met at King's Isle. We were both working at King's Isle together. He left King's Isle to go work on mobile games in the Philippines. And then I stayed here and worked at Panic Button. When he got back from the Philippines, he needed a place to stay. And so he just stayed with us for a little while. And during that time was when I had the DK1. I think Alchemy had just done for the Oculus and stuff like that, like way back. And way back, it was a few years ago.
It's come so far, hasn't it already? Really, like
it's been a very short time. Everybody in the VR industry talks about back in the early days, and it's like, yeah, that was like 2012. Like that's not that long ago. So when he came back from the Philippines, I showed him, some of the hardware and stuff that I had, and he was like, hey, let's make a game. What do you want to do? And he was like, let's make a climbing game. And I said, that's going to be really boring. I don't know if we should do that. And of course, this was a DK1, right? And so we had an Xbox controller in the DK1, and that's where the game originally started. Like you were looking around and then using the triggers as your hands to like climb on stuff, which was very similar. We found out later to what they had done for the Climb. The original Climb was that. And when we saw that come out, we were like, oh, we can't do it this way. This is way too similar.
Yeah.
But ours, it turned out, was much, much different because ours was still about leaping and jumping and platforming. And it just sort of evolved from there. But all that whole time, I was working at Panic Button up until 2018, October 2018. And so it was a really interesting sort of path to go. I think it was very unique. Not a lot of developers sort of have the opportunity to be working for the company that's also going to publish their game, because Panic Button published our game on PlayStation 4, which was awesome. It was super cool.
That's amazing.
So so it was, I don't know, I guess our path, or my path at least, was very unique. Richard actually helped bankroll the original version of To the Top. So when we were in production on To the Top, we only probably spent about 6 or 7 months of actual time in production, where we had, I think we had 8 people total working on the game at one point. And Richard actually bankrolled all that stuff, which was super awesome. We would just have the meetings here at my house, like in this room right here. We'd have a weekly meeting, and then just, sort of turning out the levels, fixing all the bugs, that sort of thing. And then once it was out on Steam, about 2 months later, I got the multiplayer update out. And then after that, we kind of got we started talking with some of the folks at Panic Button about, yeah, do you guys want to publish, or how do you want to do this? We'd like to get this on PlayStation. Is there something we can do? And so we worked out a deal. And then what was interesting though is that I wound up doing all of the engineering work to do the port over to PlayStation VR. So the interesting thing about To the Top is no other engineers have actually worked on To the Top. And now that I'm working on the next game, I'm realizing that is freaking terrible because the stuff that's in the original To the Top is like, it's okay, but I think if I had more eyeballs on it, it could have been a lot better as far as just from the code side. And so I'm trying to take some of those lessons and for the new game, I'm trying to like, okay, we need to work on this a little bit more as if there's more engineers working on it, because I don't want this to turn into a gnarly mess that nobody else knows how to do. So
I think you'd have to make some pretty big mistakes for that to happen, because going by the first game, man, like, you don't forget To the Top. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, on PSVR, which is where I first found it, it meant a lot to me. The game, actually, you was my first developer interview ever.
Yeah.
We got together, and then we got together again because we were going to announce it coming on Quest, and then we did a interview about it.
It was an unannouncement.
It was an unannouncement. Yeah, that was crazy. I couldn't. I don't think I'll ever forget that. That was insane. When it went to PlayStation VR, so let me think. You had some big YouTubers play this game. Like, who out of memory do you remember playing this? And was it obviously it was the Steam version, wasn't it? It wouldn't have been the.
Yeah, it was the Steam version. I think the biggest YouTuber was Jacksepticeye. I think he did 2 or 3 videos on it, and it got quite a few views. But it was still very early in VR at that time, and it didn't have as big of an impact on sales as I think we thought it would. Yeah. And then I realized later it's because a lot of the people watching the Jacksepticeye VR stuff, they're watching it because they didn't have VR. And they maybe didn't have access to it or something like that. So it got like, millions of views or whatever. But it resulted in maybe a few thousand sales because most of the people who were watching Jacksepticeye at the time didn't have, they just didn't have the hardware, and they kind of like lived vicariously through him. So it was interesting to see that because it was very different from a regular, any other kind of indie game. Because if you have something like Markiplier or Jacksepticeye or, any of these YouTubers play your game and you're an indie game, that's like, oh my God, yes, we've got some eyeballs on the game.
Yeah.
And it was that. It definitely got us exposure. But it was just interesting to see how different it was from a flat game, as it were, versus a VR game at the time, like how different the markets were. It is still kind of that way. Like the markets are very different, even between like Steam and PlayStation VR and Quest. Like the types of games that people are playing and how they play them actually are quite a bit different. So.
Yeah, I mean, so PlayStation VR, I imagine, had a massive impact because there is a lot of headsets out there on PSVR. How in terms of sales, what were do you know the numbers? Are you aware roughly?
Yeah. So it's actually for us for To the Top, it was about the same on Steam and PlayStation VR as of like today. The sales numbers are actually pretty close to the same. Yeah.
Oh right, that's interesting. Oh cool.
Yeah.
I think it's evening out.
Do I think it's evening out? I think as far as users, I don't know. This is all conjecture because I don't know actual numbers as far as platform stuff or whatever. But I think PlayStation still has more VR users than like PC right now. I don't know. I can't even speak to Quest. I have no freaking clue. So I don't know about that. But yeah, PlayStation's still pretty strong for VR players. It's just a very accessible system, like if you have a PS4 and you want to play VR, it's like, well, this is kind of the no-brainer thing that you do. You go get a PSVR headset. Although my own personal stuff recently, I've been looking at like getting the hardware has been more difficult, which I think is really interesting. Like the Iron Man demo came out and it requires the Move controllers. Yeah. And I have several sets of Move controllers, but I have a set that's like really old and the batteries are dying. I'm like, I want to replace those. So let me go find a new set of Move controllers on Amazon. Nope. You cannot find Move controllers anywhere. Apparently, they're like $300 on eBay now or whatever.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
what the heck is going on here? Although they did announce the new bundle, which apparently does come with Move controllers for Iron Man, so maybe that's. But yeah, if you want to just buy Move controllers, so I'm like, I guess that makes sense because they're kind of rolling on to their new the new hardware, and so they're probably ramping down production on some of this old hardware. So again, all conjecture. I don't know anything about what Sony's doing.
I'm sort of like obviously you showed us something earlier, which I don't know if you're allowed to show on stream. That was a prototype for the Gear VR.
Oh, right. I think I can show that because it was public. Are you talking about the controllers?
Yeah.
He's got a load of like tech stuff that I've never seen.
So these controllers, I'm sure if anybody who has moves saw these controllers now, they would absolutely die for wanting them because they have everything on them that everybody who has a PSVR would be screaming about, including
he's right.
a thumb pad.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
A orb for tracking with, a light orb for tracking with, buttons, triggers, the works. And that was a prototype for the Gear VR.
Yeah, and they didn't pursue it. You said they didn't.
No, I think they did. I'm not exactly sure what happened with that. We helped them out make some demo software for a GDC, a Game Developers Conference. I think 2015, something like that. And I didn't really keep up with them to see what exactly happened or where they went with that hardware, because so much other stuff was going on at the time as far as controllers and tracking and all this other thing. So it was very churny at the time with what was going on.
Dan, I have a question for you. Besides taking out the fact to be accepted or not, would you consider harder the process to make a game and try to be on the store on Oculus with the Oculus Quest or with PlayStation? Because I hear everywhere that PlayStation is very hard to get into, and so you had the experience for both, and
they're hard, but in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So Oculus is much more focused on the content, so they're gating more on the content itself.
Mm-hmm.
Sony is less focused on the actual content, and they're more focused on sort of the technical aspect of whether or not this thing will work.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them do look at marketability, right? They want to look at the app and they want to go, do we think this thing will sell on the platform? Both of them look at that. But yeah, they have a slightly different focuses on what the gating criteria are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. I was very interested in that.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, and you mentioned a new game. You mentioned you're doing
we're working on the sequel. I think that's known. We talked about it a little bit on our Discord. Our Discord's not like nearly as active as GT's Discord, but there is a few people in there.
Nice.
So we're working on the sequel to the top. Financially, To the Top did well enough for us to at least make sort of the next game. And that's what we're working on.
Nice, man. Is it called After the Top?
No.
and Ham said you're from the future with those controllers. So sweet. So let's talk about a new headset that is coming out later this year, I believe, is the HP Reverb G2. Got Tyriel in here because he made a fantastic video about it.
Have we done the news thing?
No, we haven't done it. I've got to do. All right, hold on. I've got the VR news segment. Hold on.
There we go. Because you're in front of it.
The breaking news. I always forget about that. I love it as well.
I know you love it.
I do.
And I have to remind you to do it.
It's got Metal Gear Solid music. You can't. I should use it all the time. So yeah, Tyriel makes wicked tech videos, and his on the Reverb G2 was superb. And yeah, man, just like I wanted to talk about the headset because now personally I've only had the CV1, the Oculus Rift S, and the PSVR.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested in the Cosmos stupidly until I bloody used it, and it was not very nice at all, to be honest. It felt. I actually thought it looked good as a headset, and the controllers even sounded good. They looked pretty cool, the lights on and stuff. And then, man, when I just used it, I was like, Nah, like
Nope.
it was just no good, unfortunately. But I went to Gamescom and I used the Valve Index, which is actually where I fell in love with the Rift S, actually, because the price for the quality overshadowed the Index for me a bit, and I love the touch controllers. I think the touch controllers for me are like the DualShock of gaming, of VR gaming. They're just so bloody. I think it's ergonomics. They feel good when you're in there using them. You don't know you're using them sometimes, you know. So yeah, so since then, yeah, I've wanted an Index. It's like a fantasy of mine though, because it's expensive. Because I haven't got the towels already.
It's very expensive, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't got the towels.
And we're
already.
about to get all the boomers when I said, yes, I have got mine close to on order. I'm waiting for them to say, yes, we're ready to ship. And
I thought you'd ordered it.
no, because what they do is you put your order in, you have an 8-week waiting block.
Wow.
Then they go, we're ready to ship. Give us the money.
Oh.
And then they ship.
It makes you wonder how many quests and stuff would have sold if they weren't out of stock, and they're so hard to get, aren't they? How often have you been on Twitter and seen people tweeting out they're available, and then like an hour later they're not, and you're like, oh.
See, the way they've been working is basically they're doing sort of like an 8-week rolling waiting lists.
Right.
So whenever you put your order in for an Index, it is an 8-week waiting list.
Okay. Yeah.
That's about.
And as soon as they have that the thing to fulfill your order, they would go, hey, your order's ready, you just need to pay for it now. Do you actually want it?
Oh, right.
Yes, no, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, here's my money. No, okay, we'll sell it to the next person who's on a waiting list.
So to be honest, apart from the field of view, this sounds like a contender to the Valve Index for me personally, because of like money wise. What is it, $599?
$599, yeah.
And that's with the controllers.
Yes.
I know people are going to talk about inside-out tracking. I haven't really got a problem with inside-out tracking personally. I don't play Beat Saber on Expert Plus, so I see that is the problem. So yeah, where are we with this headset, man?
I think that HP did a great job to put it in the right sweet spot for like cost, because you have the Rift S at $399, you have the Index at $999. And you have the Cosmos at $899. That is like that absurd, but you have it there too. So you have. I was expecting $699 or $799 when I heard about the specs, and so I was very surprised by the $599 price point, because I feel like that is really, really good for what it offers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Windows Mixed Reality, but this is the proper second generation of Windows Mixed Reality. So they improved the tracking. So like Windows Mixed Reality kind of invented inside-out tracking, because they invented with the HoloLens, and then they moved it to an easier way with just 2 cameras. And of course, it wasn't enough at the beginning for the tracking. Like playing some games, like even to the top, would be a little weird with the Windows Mixed Reality, because you can't really put like your hands also up. You're just limited to this movement.
Yeah.
So to the top still works even without tracking, just because as long as I know the orientation, you can still grab stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't saying
right to the top. Any game.
That was supposed to. It was supposed to sound nice, actually. It was like because like it's a limit that you have with those controllers. Then it's great that you can still use them. But you are usually limited to the one-to-one movement just in the area in front. Now they added also 2 cameras on the side, so they should be better. You should be able to use a bow, for example, that before wasn't really possible. You had to guess, like the games had to guess the position for the rotation and stuff, or the velocity you arrive to the point. And now finally you have like more cameras to rely to. And it's a big improvement. We saw that on the Rift S works, and we saw that on the Cosmos doesn't. So we have to see if it's going to work here. But the first Windows Mixed Reality, when it was tracking very well. So I think it's going to work very well. They changed completely the panels from the first generation. There are two 4K panel, 2160 by 2160 Chi, LCD display, RGB pixel arrangement. So very, very high clarity. And they also changed the lenses, because the big problem with the first Reverb were actually the lenses. The sweet spot was tiny.
There's a lot of reports on that.
Exactly.
It's still Fresnel
and-
lenses, though, isn't it?
The Fresnel, yeah.
Yeah,
Fresnel,
yeah.
they're still Fresnel lenses.
Yeah.
But the one that they had some distortion profile were wrong. There was a lot of chromatic aberration that usually is done by software as well. It's not just a thing that you get from the physical lens. But so that was adding up.
The way I understood it for the reverb on the lenses, they used some of the tech that Valve built for their
This
index.
time, yes.
This
time,
is
yes.
index tech in the
They
lenses. And
actually
that's-
didn't use some tech, but Valve made the lenses this time completely. So those
and
are
they're doing
made by
something,
Valve.
yeah, and they're doing something very different from what other manufacturers are doing right now. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's very special.
Yeah, and I don't think this time will be as special as on the index, because on the index the lenses are canted a little, like 5 degrees, to have more FOV, and this time it's not going to happen. And also on the index you have dual lenses, so you have like a mix between a pancake lens and a Fresnel lens, one in front, stacked and one in front of each other. This time I don't think it's going to happen like that, but still they had the experience with those lenses that they work very well for clarity and sweet spot. So I'm pretty sure they will move that as well on this part. So clarity will be great, and they increase, they said, brightness and contrast. So that's good, of course, for LCD panels. And the first one had also problem with Mura. So the Mura is when you have a discrepancy of colors between like in the panel. So it looks like it's a little dirty. So it seems like they fixed that as well. So it seems like all the problems that we had with the first Reverb are fixed now. And there should be the dream of any sim racing or simulator person right now, also with better tracking. So you can also use it not just for simulators. And the new controllers that are awesome for me, because they are very similar to the Oculus Touch.
Yeah.
And everyone likes the Oculus Touch controllers. They have the thumbstick finally, they have a A and B button, they have like start button, the Windows button, and
all the stuff
the
game
grip.
controllers should have.
Yeah, exactly. The grip is finally not just a button, but is a trigger. So it goes up and down and understand a little the distance. So you can open and close your hands as much as you want. And the thing that for me is most interesting is the audio, because finally like they put the exact same audio that you have on the Valve Index. That is mind-blowing. It's crazy.
Really good audio on that.
I think that is the thing that people think that is not important in VR is always audio. If you can take something out, take out audio, like they did with the Oculus Rift S, for example. That is a solution that just doesn't work, let's be honest with it. And here instead they really like pushed on it because it's just amazing. You have a 3D spatial audio. It doesn't touch your ears, so you have it's like if you are really in there.
Yeah, that is
and really I used to get so much immersion.
I used to actually get earache on the CV1 after hours of being in there, where I felt like they were pushing on my. I love the headset, first of all. If you put it on, it was so light and everything. But if you were in there for a good 3 hours, like you start feeling.
They were starting to hurt a little. Yeah, I remember that. And so it's a great solution for comfort as well. And also they changed the strap that is resembled the one on the Index as well. But I think like it's going to be great for immersion in that case. Absolutely. What did they change to the cable?
IPD we wanted to talk about, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, the IPD is manual IPD adjustment. There was another problem on the first Reverb.
Yeah.
It's a little strange, the range, because it goes from 60s to 68 millimeters. Usually like you have a little more. So like if you have 58, probably could be problematic. But if there's better sweet spot, probably it's not going to be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rift S doesn't have it, and many people can use it. So if they did a good job with the lenses, it shouldn't be such a big deal. The only thing that people I saw that were a little complaining is the FOV and the refresh rate. But at the same time, my answer to that is like, guys, it's $599, so it's pretty cheap. It has two 4K panels in there. Your graphic card is not going to be able to run those 4K panels at over 90 hertz. Like, it's a miracle if you arrive to 90 hertz anyway. So that is something that I feel like we have to transmit. It's a, you know, if you want more FOV, there are other headsets like the Index. And this is much cheaper than the Index. So I feel like it can gives a lot of competition in the house at the end, because you know, if you don't want to spend that much money, you're going to have still a great headset.
Yeah.
Of course, we have to try it first and to say it, but I'm going to grab it for sure because...
so another thing I noticed, like, so from my perspective, the microphone on the Rift S is not enjoyable. This says dual microphones.
Yes, actually sounds very good. I was on the event in Altspace, that when they did the announcement, and all of them were wearing and using the Reverb. Ooh. And we are the good thing about the Altspace that you can ask questions in there. So we asked the question if they were using the Reverb too in that moment, and they said yes. So they were, and if they were using the Reverb too with that audio, like with those microphones, and they said yes, and sounds very good. And I posted on Twitter, I think, that a little clip with Alex Kipman talking during the event, and so you can listen yourself to the audio from Twitter directly. Nice. It's like it's at the end of a big like I kind of reported all the event there, so you can go through it, and then there's the clip. So excellent. But if you don't believe me, you can hear by yourself, but it sounds very well. See, I don't think it sounds as good as the Index, because that is like next level microphone. Right. It's like amazing. I mean, it sounds better than the Blue Yeti, the Index, pretty much. Wow. But it's not at that level, but it's very nice. And so, I had a lot of problems with the Rift S microphone, unfortunately.
So another thing is it's got a 6 meter cable. Is the Valve Index that as well? I don't know. I haven't got an Index. So how long is the cable on the Index? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's 6 meter, 10 feet, 12 feet, sorry.
I'm used to the 5 meters, so that'd be quite nice.
And it's going to have a breakout box a little at the end. I mean, this is a weird thing. It's going to end with the display port. No, not like that. But it's going to end with display port and USB Type-C. The USB Type-C will be for power delivery and data, of course. Right. But you need a USB Type-C on your motherboard. You need enough power bandwidth from the motherboard. Exactly. Because if not, there are two 4K displays, so they need a lot of power there. If you don't have it, they have in the box also a little power brick, and so you're going to have to go through the power brick and then from the power brick to the PC. So you have still the option there. The thing is, like, as always, display ports, so laptop user are a little...
So another thing, I was watching Rendered Reality, another podcast, really good. They were talking about, because one thing you brought up, which is one of the things, I've only got a 2070, I haven't got a 2080, so I've heard you can actually halve the output of this to play games or something, they were saying. I don't know if that's true.
I mean, it's going to run on SteamVR, so you have the super sampling options there. Yeah. So it's not like if it doesn't run well enough, you can bring it down to 80 or something. Yeah. And there's also options in Windows anyway that you decide, like it's not that precise like in SteamVR. There's no numbers, but you can say like high resolution, medium resolution, low resolution, or very, very high resolution. So you have a lot of options, yes.
Another thing is it looks damn comfy. It looks so bloody comfortable.
It does look like a really comfy headset, actually, I have to say that.
It does.
That's one of the other big selling points as well, I think, for sim racers before as well, is that if you get into sim racing, you're in a cockpit with your force feedback wheels, you got your gloves on. If you've spent stupid money on the sim racing gear, you'll have your pedals, and you're either doing it in your socks or you've got racing boots on with the proper pedals where they've got pressure sensors and all this lot on. So you build up heat anyway, and when you get really into it in VR, you will get a sweat on.
Have they
Mhm.
talked about how much
So-
heat the headset generates or anything like that? No one really ever talks about that currently, but I still feel like if I'm in my Quest for a period of time, it gets warm. You know, I mean, have they mentioned anything like that? I don't know if they have. I know apparently it's double AA batteries for the controllers. Is that true?
Yes, like
Yeah.
the first generation.
Right.
That I don't like. Many people are complaining about it. I don't see much as a deal because like I use anyway rechargeable batteries. I I feel like it is the way to go in VR in general, because even for the Oculus Quest or the Rift S or like pretty much all the controllers, like it's better to use rechargeable batteries. But yes, and also those controllers though, unfortunately, like they eat like the drink battery, like a Aperol Spritz. So
Nice.
so it goes down very fast. It's around 5 hours, 5-6 hours of usage with
Yeah.
those controllers. So I mean, maybe a little more, depends how much you use them. But yeah, it's a thing to be aware of. But responding to Salsa too about the driving sim, the nice thing about this one, it doesn't have a knob on the back. So because
Yeah.
you have the Velcro strap, and so when you are in the cockpit, you can actually lay with your
It's a case of
nice.
having to use this behind your head or not getting to use that behind your head.
Exactly. And so that I just when you said that, I thought about it, because I said like it's weird that they didn't go for the knob. I thought it was just for like contain the price, but actually like
No.
they look like they listen a lot what like consumer were saying, because they weren't expecting people to buy the Reverb, and then many simulator people were buying the Reverb.
Yeah.
And probably it was actually one of the feedbacks, like
And
we don't
a
want a
lot of-
knob, and they didn't put it.
Yeah, because a lot of sim racers, like I say, if they build up a cockpit, you will have seats that are proper racing seats, and they will be shrouded at the sides. They'll be in, and you don't have much lateral motion, just like you don't in a real driving seat.
Which is
But
weird,
you
really,
might
because
have-
you're not evident. There's no G-force. Do you know what I mean? You don't.
I
I
know,
know
but you
what you
do tend to do that. I mean, I do when I'm racing. I tend to actually will look in towards a curve and will lean in. But it depends on what sort of setup you've got. If you've got like a GT3 thing, then it's going to curtail the movement of your head a lot more, because that's what GT3 cars do. They're all about the amount of force. Same if you've got an F1 car, you know, F1 drivers' helmets are locked into position because of the forces that are on their head. So you don't
Yeah.
do it as much, but you still do a bit of motion. But when you put your head back, if you've got a cushion there, if you've got that knob there, you can't do this because it's constantly hitting against something and got really annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds
So-
like it's ticking a lot of boxes. What about you, Dan? What do you think of this headset?
No, I think it looks great. I mean, I look at it from a slightly different perspective. I think the problem that all these headset manufacturers are running up against is whether or not they can subsidize the cost of it, right? And I think, you know, for companies like HTC and Reverb and even Valve, they're not really subsidizing the cost of these headsets, but companies like Sony and Facebook are. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so in that regard, yeah, this is a really great price. And I think that from a game standpoint, like sort of the target market for it might be those folks who really, really wanted to play Alyx, couldn't afford an Index, can't get a hold of an Oculus, but hey, they might be able to get this thing and it's at a decent price and it's really designed for Steam VR. So this is your Alyx, you know, Half-Life Alyx headset now. So I mean, but yeah, other than that, yeah, I guess that would be sort of the way that I look at it. From a development standpoint, you know, I'm always trying to target where's the widest market, like how wide can I cast the net? and this just helps on the PC side, making that net even wider. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, thank you to Mark. He's giving out some tower tag keys as well. So thank you, man. Thank you. That's great. We're going to hopefully see a lot more people in that game.
Yeah,
which would be fantastic. I don't know,
And that's also on. It's also on Viveport as well.
is it?
I think.
I really do think I need to get Viveport. I missed that bloody excellent deal. There was a
I
crazy
will double check.
deal.
I'm sure I saw it there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was looking at Viveport.
It was crazy, wasn't it? There was
it was like $30 for a year.
yeah, and
Yeah,
28.
it was on the show.
Was it?
I advertised it, and I forgot to do it.
so the top's on Viveport too. So there you go.
There you go. Great reason.
Is it with the Infinity?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm just gonna check. I'm sure I checked last night, and I thought I saw it on there.
Another thing, so Nat from 7 Degrees Gaming come up with this. He said, hopefully, like this headset, are we expecting any more virtuality headsets now until, say, summer next year?
Yes.
Do you think
Yes.
you think it's gonna be more?
Yes, we have a lot of stuff happening actually. Are we talking just PCVR headsets or any?
No, I mean any really.
Any.
Sorry to break in just before. Yes, Tower is also on Infinity for anybody who's got Infinity as well.
Excellent.
Along
Cheers,
with
man.
To the Top as well. So check them out if you do have the Infinity subscription. It's there. Use it.
There you go.
Mhm.
Serious stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what was I say? Yes, because there's a Qualcomm did a big event and they started to like lay down the future a little for new headsets with they call it like a, how do they call it? I didn't like really the name. So
They have
maybe
like a
I
reference hardware.
forgot
They have
it.
a reference headset.
Yes. They have a reference headset, but lately they came out with a new business profile where they are actually gonna like target it also with phone companies like Verizon and stuff in the US is gonna get into it. So they're gonna sell them in the store over there because that's a very smart thing. People want, we said it, more comfortable headsets, smaller, easier to wear for longer
Lighter, yeah.
time, lighter and stuff. And the problem is like in standalone headsets that are the one that are going out like hotcakes right now, it's the fact that they are heavy because you have a lot of hardware inside, you have the processor, the battery and stuff. And like nobody wants to wear the Quest, for example, for more than 3 hours.
Yeah.
You kind of want to take out your face at the end. So what they did is like they started, there's a certification now for the XR platform. So phones and visors are going to be XR certified. And that means that you're going to be able to connect these visors to your phone and using the computational power of your phone, of your Snapdragon's phone, to power up your visors.
Nice.
And use them like a standalone headset. They're going to be different headsets. Like some are going to be AR, some are going to be VR, some are going to be both. And they're going to start to come out this year. Some are going to be 3D OF. That is not that a great thing, to be honest, because rotational tracking, I think, is like, we shouldn't
We've
put it in the past.
Yeah.
Exactly. We saw that didn't
Great
work
for watching films, but
yeah,
See,
but I don't know.
So for me
Still,
personally-
even for movies, is like still weird 3D OF because in a movie theater you also can move left and right.
Yeah.
But well, that is gonna happen as well, and some 60 OF headsets coming out. So there's a lot of stuff happening. A lot of those are gonna come in 2020. And for me, one that I'm very interested in is the Samsung one. Samsung is gonna come out, is not with the XR platform. At least we don't know if it's gonna be with the XR platform yet. But there were some rumors not so long ago about a new Samsung Odyssey. Actually, there were 2 different headsets. And now seeing the Reverb G2 kind of look very similar because this rumor about the Samsung headset had 4 cameras as well. So I feel like kind of confirmation seeing these new HP headset, and I'm really looking forward to the new Samsung Odyssey, because for me the Odyssey Plus was a great headset. I still have it over there. I still use it sometime because they have great screens. They are the only one that actually keep pushing on the OLED technology, the AMOLED technology, as they call it, even it's the same thing. Instead, everyone else is moving on LCD. That for me is great for clarity, but at the same time, like you don't beat the colors and the blacks that you have on the OLED screens.
So VTids VR said, Tyriel, you always really know your stuff, and that's the best thing about it. If I don't know or you don't know, we can just ask someone. Tyriel's your man. So yeah, I thought we'd grab him.
I'm just very passionate about this stuff, so that's why I memorize everything.
See, I look at things personally from like a gaming point of view a lot of the time. Obviously, Oculus and PlayStation, they have studios, they have exclusives. That sort of worries me a bit. Like, what games can certain, like, it's obviously, you talk about the Valve Index, a lot of people bought it to play Half-Life. So where does that put some of these headsets? What games would you go to yourself, oh, I'll buy that for that? Do you know what I mean? I don't.
Well,
as Oculus seems to work on everything.
Yeah, but it's also what we're starting to come out with as well with some of the other headsets in terms of tech. Some of the tech in here would work great for gaming, but they're not aimed at gaming.
Yeah.
So where we're coming to next with like, what's the other headset that's on the verge of coming out? The
Mova.
Mova.
The one without the controllers?
Yeah, well, Mova does actually have controllers as well, but they don't do it as a standard package.
It has a clicker, like the one that like the one you had
but
on the first Oculus, for example.
It's hand tracked and it's partially foot tracked.
Sal said his feet were swelling up earlier. Maybe
they are doing some of the feet tracking as well, because if you go through it with their exercise program stuff, they are able to get a part of the feet where it comes into the motion of where you do certain exercises to do anything where you're not standing up fully straight. Your feet tend to come in view of their cameras. So they are tracking that as well. So if you kick, your avatar will kick.
Yeah, the only problem though is like the hand tracking is not real hand tracking. That's where it gets very confusing for people. It's like gesture based. So you don't actually, like, if you do like this, the headset might understand that you are like saying hi, and so your avatar was saying hi, but it's not gonna be your hand. Like, you know, it's like they were showing also the demo with playing basketball. It was like grab, and the ball was arriving there. Then it was doing like this, and it was like throwing, and so the headset were understanding that you had to put the command of throwing, but your hand was disconnected by the movement. It's not the same hand tracking that you see on the Quest or with the lip motion, for example. There's 1-to-1. That was purely like gesture based. Like then, as it over there, the Vive Focus had the same thing in the past. That wasn't really hand tracking. They said, "Oh yeah, we have hand tracking now," but it wasn't really that. It was in a different way. Of course, it's cheaper. So for me, it's really hard to see this Mova to be successful, in at least in the Western market, because the Eastern market is totally another beast. It's like they have traction for so many things. We, in the West part of the world, we are too picky on stuff. And if stuff doesn't work like it should, we're like, no, I'm not gonna buy it. Instead, like they buy it for the experience. And so I don't think even the Mova is gonna arrive to the market here, because they're gonna start in Taiwan in 2020, and probably in 2021 start.
It's another side there as well. Again, it's an enterprise mainly focused thing.
No, that's a social focus, though. It's not enterprise.
I thought they had a background of enterprise as well. So I thought there was two sides on that, where they had that and a background for working on the background of it. So
I know, but that because they're gonna launch this headset with also a new platform that's called Movado, something like that. That is like a second life in VR. And in there's gonna be businesses, so you can buy stuff while you're in your VR experience.
Okay.
So like that's why they target both. They want to create an alternative world.
That worked so well for Second Life, right?
Exactly. And they want to do kind of the same thing, where you can open your shop there and sell your virtual T-shirts, I guess, and do that stuff. So it's a very interesting approach on the side, but that gives me a confirmation a little more that probably in the Western market is not going to work that well.
Yeah. See, one of the things I do pick up on, especially in today's world with, you know, the big V, that a lot of people have changed how they could work socially and work around things. And as we all know, virtual environments can work extremely well on replacing a part of that physical interaction that we have in the real world. And that's where I would have seen this sort of headset aiming at, first of all, if they are to gain numbers with particular market share anywhere, it would have to be that where they can volume license this out to companies as an entire suite of things going, right, here's all your headsets, there's for all your employees to do this, that, the other, as a working platform, because you're talking 5G, so you don't necessarily have to have all the processing power on board, because if it's connected up fully on 5G, then you're talking about cloud processing a lot of this for business app base. Stuff like that. That's where I would have thought the future of some of those things, and like Pico and the Neo 2 and Neo i2 should also go along. Though the Pico i2, I always thought with its, because we get to probably Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E along with that, especially Pico 2 Wi-Fi 6E, if that had that in there as the eye tracking, you could get the eye tracking for foveated rendering actually working with a PC. That would be blow my mind amazing, because then you can have a wireless headset that can maximize the use of a GPU to push the graphics up to stupidly high portions, all while being tetherless and being low weight.
Yeah, it's the Pico 2 is very interesting. I'm gonna receive it probably next week, I think. So I'm gonna let you know for sure.
Nice.
I'm not gonna receive the Eye, though. I don't think it's ready yet. But the thing about the Pico Neo, like I want to say two things. One is the price is low if you compare it, because that's a business headset. And if you think about business headset, even the Oculus Quest is $1,000. Like if you are a business, the Oculus Quest is $1,000.
Yeah.
The Pico is $699 for the base version for business, and there's a Snapdragon 845 in there instead of a 835 on the Quest, and has better screens. And the Eye is $899 and has the eye tracking. That the only eye tracking that we saw so far in VR, if I'm not wrong, is the Vive Pro Eye that costs like $13.99.
No, you got Xtal. Xtal has it.
Yeah, but that's very like we go. Yes.
Then you have the Vive Pro Eye. As well.
That is the only one that consumer can buy, though. Consumers can buy just the Vive Pro Eye. That is $13.99.
And strangely enough, for the Cosmos as well. There's an eye tracking for the Cosmos.
They don't have it yet.
It's not out yet, but that's coming.
Yeah, probably they're going to have
and that will also be
mod.
backwards compatible for they have a separate one that you could use in the old Vive with that as well.
Yeah, but never came out. It was from Toby. Toby worked on that, but then they never sold it, unfortunately. Yeah. But eye tracking, I think, is going to be installed in the next.
I thought there's a new one. I thought there's another new one that's coming.
No, I think they're still collaborating with Toby, though.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, $8.99 is cheap for like eye tracking, I think, right now. It's also a standalone headset, so it has that much more instead. But the thing attaching to the thing that GT was saying is the fact that content is not going to be there because, of course, there's no platform behind. It's going to run on Android and that's it. Yeah. And on that, I want to ask a question to Dan is, would you be like, is something that you're looking forward to working on eye tracking? And do you see, like, probably you answered before saying that you'll always try to market where there is people that are going to be able to buy. But are you looking forward to like trying to work on these headsets with a different operating system as
they
can grow?
I see what he's going. Would you be going for that sort of compatibility, or would you stick to the main 3, I guess, which is what everyone sort of know?
I think that if it depends on what the feature set is and whether or not it's something we can take advantage of creatively. Eye tracking is a tough one because it offers some technical improvements, like you said, with actual foveated rendering and stuff like that. But integrating it into gameplay is sort of it's like an incremental increase in what you can do and not like a revolutionary increase in what you can do. So there's definitely more stuff you can do once you have eye tracking, but it seems like you can solve some of those game problems that you have today with the tools you already have. So yeah, I don't know. It just depends on
what
where
about
it
as a development tool? Because obviously when you're testing games out, if you actually have your development headset with eye tracking built into it, so that you can tell where people are looking in game as you develop the game, would you see it as a very good as development tool to guide?
I think it depends on your game. Like what you're talking about is heat mapping. So there's lots of ways to heat map, for games, and some of it's, where are the players at in the game? Where are certain things occurring in the game? And if your game is something that's focused on where the players are looking, then yeah, you'd want that data so that you know whether or not what you're trying to communicate to the players is actually effective. But if your game, if that's like a secondary or tertiary kind of thing in your game, you may not even track that, right? Like, oh, we don't care. Like, well, oh yeah, we have this ability, but it's not particularly useful. So we may not, you may just not even do keeping data on that.
Okay. I know if you go to some of the stuff I'd seen with development blog writing or whatever on Half-Life Alyx, was one of their key focuses was they had so many people that would bring in their relatives or whatever to test the game and constantly playing through the game and constantly then watching back the playback of the game, but they have a big team to do this.
Yeah.
That they refocused how that game works a lot based on, so they knew where to spend their time adding details into the game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not unique to Valve. Most game, especially larger studios, do that. It's called focus testing. And you're going through and just trying to figure out where people are having problems with the game. Is your game fun? Is this thing that we thought was fun, is it actually fun? Does this thing work? Does it not work? I think, Valve had a unique situation where they had the opportunity to really take a deep dive on a lot of these intricate sort of VR interactions and do focus testing on those specific things. I wouldn't say it's the first time that that's been done. I mean, Alchemy's been doing that for a while, since the beginning, right? Since the Vive first came out, they've been doing focus groups and trying to figure out, well, how do we do these interactions in VR and make it fun and it's, interesting. I don't think that that's necessarily unique. And I think that, like you said, if you do have the eye tracking and that was something that you thought would be useful data point, then yeah, you would track it, and then you would, watch that information back.
Of course, I think at the moment with Half-Life Alyx, all they would notice is everybody's staring at the liquid in the bottles.
Right. Yeah. Everybody's yeah. I don't know. But again, I think that the other thing to take into consideration with eye tracking is how much does it cost to add that to the headset, and then what's the return value that you get on the player, on the end user's value.
Well, there I see it in two ways though, because one can be, and that's what we are more talking about right now. It can be the, how much GPU power can you save with that? But on the other side, I feel like we need it for the next generation, also for interaction, because when we talk about content and stuff and social, having actually the eyes that move in the correct way is something like the eyes as like is like a study, like 70% of our emotion in our face goes through the eyes. Like the understanding of like what you're thinking is through our eyes.
Oh yeah,
and,
for sure. Yeah,
and
social interaction. Yeah,
exactly. And the problem with lately, I'm doing a lot of meetings in VR with companies, and it's awesome, but on the same level, it's not the same as being there in person, because there's no eye interaction.
We wouldn't be doing this meeting here like this.
Exactly.
We'd be doing this meeting in VR. So.
Yeah. Exactly. So like I tried also like Spatial, that is a new app where you can also put your face on your avatar, so your actual face is there.
You can try that on the Quest as well, can't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got to check that out this week actually.
And it's amazing, but it's so weird because yes, you can recognize people, but when they talk, there's no expression really. There's just this mouth that's open and closed.
That's weird. I never even thought of that.
It's
side
weird.
Of it, actually.
It works. It works better than Altspace for me because I can take stuff a little more seriously than.
I don't like the avatars in Altspace.
Yeah.
I never have really. I prefer Rec Room. Personally.
But I see that there are many things missing, and eye tracking is one of those. And an interesting thing that said Alex Kipman, that is the creator of HoloLens, during the event was like, now we have a generation 2. Generation 1 in VR was to understand the market, what people wanted and stuff. Generation 2 is to make it comfortable to wear, to make it comfortable for the visual, to make it like, that works for people. Generation 3 will be to expand on human interaction. So there's going to be hand tracking, there's going to be eye tracking, there's going to be body tracking, there's going to be lip tracking, so you can actually move your face in the same way. So it's an evolution. Now we are still in the step in the middle. But I feel like starting with eye tracking, I'm very excited for eye tracking because of that as well, because it's not just, okay, it can be better for the GPU part. That is exciting for me because I'm a nerd, but also for the fact that for interaction, gameplay and stuff, multiplayer can be much more interesting, much more personal and relatable to have a...
Yeah, but that's the point. It depends on your app. Like if you're making Half-Life Alyx, that's not multiplayer. Nobody's going to see your face.
Mm-hmm.
Saints and Sinners, kind of the same thing. But yeah, you're not wrong. Like once you get that stuff in there for multiplayer, it does make it better. But again, it's incremental and not necessarily revolutionary. It's not going to change. I don't think, I could totally be wrong because I'm wrong often, but I don't think it will make a revolutionary change in how the multiplayer works in a game, for example, right? Like Rec Room won't change that much. You'll get to see other people's faces and things like that. And that stuff will be more expressive, but laser tag is still laser tag. So, that's my perspective. I could, again, on the social side, like you were talking about that other headset maker before in Taiwan, right? In Asia, they don't have a lot of this, they're not using this a lot. And so when it comes to the VR and the controllers, they're kind of like, why can't I just use my hands? Because when I play games, I'm using my phone anyway. I'm just using my fingers. And so that translates a lot more directly to that. And then things are more social, right? Like they have a completely different kind of game that they like to play than what we like to play in the Western culture. So, and maybe that, slots in really nicely with the types of apps and experiences that you would see over there. But over here, if you're playing, your Counter-Strike VR clone, I don't think anybody's going to care if you're winking at them or not.
a fair point. Sorry, I realised I was muted. 7 Degrees of Gaming brought up a fair point earlier about PSVR 2 specs. So like the way the headsets are going now and what's coming out, there's rumours of PSVR 2 is going to be wireless. It's going to be like, does this not sort of make things a bit more realistic that actually PSVR 2 will probably be a wired headset? It'll probably be very similar to the Rift S in terms of specs and stuff. What do you think is going to be? Because obviously there's loads of patents out there. I see them all the time. What sort of level do you think they're coming in at for this? Because obviously the life cycle of this headset is going to be long. It's not going to be like everyone like in it. There is a possibility that the Rift S and the Quest every 2 years is going to be a new version, for example. But the PSVR 2 is going to be tied to a console, which is going to be 5 to 7 year life cycle. So they've kind of got to think to themselves, right, at what point do we benchmark? At what point do we go, right, here we go. This is where we're happy to be, and the developers will be happy with this. And what sort of specs would you be thinking about with that headset?
Well, for me, I think that we have to calm down a little the hype on the PSVR 2 for now, because it's not going to come out this year.
No.
And so it's not going to come out probably even next year, but in 2022, because it will be a disaster. Like if they were selling the new console right now for $500 or $600 and asking you also to buy a VR headset, so for other $500 or $600, nobody will buy it. Like we saw what happened last generation with the Xbox One, that they wanted to bundle a $100 thing like the Kinect.
Right.
It failed for $100. Okay, this is not gonna happen soon. So we have for my personal thing, we have to calm down a little on the hype, because they also said it in the past. The first year you will use the PSVR 1 with the new PlayStation. And I think that is great, because you can gonna have a super sampling there. Things are gonna look better for sure and stuff, but we're gonna still have the same technology. And
what about controllers though? Do you think they might bring out new Move controllers? Because
I don't think so yet. I think they're gonna just come with a new generation. That's it. Because imagine Dan on the side, it will go nuts if he had to make a game for 2 different controllers on the same platform.
No, I get it, man. Like from that point of view, I get it. I think
it's so. Sorry.
I did have to make a game because we supported the DualShock as well.
So now we'll be 3.
Yeah. So for PSVR 2, Tyriel is exactly right. Like Sony's focus is exactly where it should be right now. They're focused on the next console, and they want that to get out. They don't want to muddy their messaging. They don't want people confused about, do I need VR for this thing? Like none of that. It's just PS5. It's going to be PS5 and PS5 all the way for the next year at least.
I think they want to do what they did before. They want to get a load of PlayStation 5s in a home and then go, but for £400 or £500, you can have VR now. And you've already got the hardware there, which is kind of like, it was weird because when I first got into it, in a way, VR was like, because all my friends have PlayStations pretty much, because they literally bought whatever I bought. I would say, VR's only £400. And you get like 2 games, and they're like, really? That's really cheap. As obviously when you heard about a Rift, was like, I don't know, £500, and a PC was $1,000. But that's like, no way, dude. Like, because the other thing is they won't understand the details of VR. They'll just hear, like my friends call it the VR. They don't know the companies. They don't know the headsets. It's the VR. It's all the same thing to them. It's crazy. Like, that's what they'll say to me. They go, oh, how's the VR going? Like,
you've got ghosts in your house.
Thank you. I have. She's a beautiful ghost. Thank you. She brought me coffee. And it's quite like, I never forget that. I never forget outside of the VR bubble we're in, that the outside word still is like the VR.
Well,
like...
the VR, but at some point, at the moment, it may become the Quest.
Yeah, that's what scares me.
It's possible, man, because it's so cheap and it does a lot right, to be fair.
But GT, like, there are always gonna be those people, because here, it's the same as phones. Like people call iPhones every smartphone. It's the same thing. Like most of the people don't even know. Like there's always gonna be a bubble for something. Like I went to the event like in New York like last year for the new OnePlus phone, and people were like, oh, what is this phone? Is this Samsung or Apple? It's like, oh, wait a minute.
There's
There
only
are two.
two. Yeah.
There are two, more than
It's
two
like
companies.
it's like my dad still is sort of like, oh, is that a Game Boy thing?
Yeah, is
And
that
you're
a
like,
Game Boy
really?
thing?
Yeah.
Oh, you playing the Game Boy thing
It
again?
is that, yeah. It is that.
But I feel like that's why I wanted to start with this argument about that the hype is a little too high, because in 2022 the technology that we're gonna have is gonna be much different. We're gonna have much more stuff for much lower prices, and like Wi-Fi will be possible, having probably like a good like wireless system
Yeah,
for
between the
consoles.
two,
Same.
yeah.
If
That-
you move
Well-
on to the sorry.
Oh,
Please, you know, I was just going to say, if we bring it on to Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E again.
Mhm.
I was going to say that on the hardware side for VR, they've been trying to solve the wireless problem for a while, and it's a really hard problem to solve. I mean, there are some solutions that work good enough for some people. You know, there's plenty of people playing wireless on their Quest from streaming from virtual desktop or whatever, and they're like, and they go, oh, this is amazing, but for the mass market, it's just not there. Even with the wireless solutions that are there that are official are still kind of not there. And so I think that your assertion that 2 years down the road we might have wireless VR might be a little optimistic. I would be surprised if the PSVR headset 2, again, disregarding all the hype and stuff, I would be surprised if that headset was wireless.
Mhm.
I think like
I
that's
don't think
a really
it'll
really
be
hard problem to
wireless.
solve.
I personally don't. I think they'll do like a very nice 6 meter, 7 meter cable or something, and there's going to be all the niceties of the. They even had like that separation bit, didn't they, in the cable for the PSVR? So if you pulled it, it sort of come away, and there's all these sort of things they've got to think about. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's crazy. You talk about PSVR. Obviously, it's forwards compatible with PS5, and it hopefully will be able to boost the current games we've got now. But damn, man, like those Move controllers, they will be 15 years old, I think, with the time you're talking about. Something like that. I mean, come on. You know, I mean, at what? Like, I love Sony, don't get me wrong, but like, they've got a lot of people out there now. They've got the most popular VR headset, as far as we know, and they haven't given them new controllers yet. Like, it's just not fair.
Yeah, that's
Well-
because they played on the price. Like, you
but
already
they
have
put the-
something,
They
and
put
it's
the price up on them. They've made them very expensive. They're
it's
old.
unbelievable though, like how you're playing VR on the PSVR with the technology that they're using. Like, there's a webcam for the tracking. And
Yeah.
that
It's
is like a
two, it's
basic
two
webcam.
webcams.
Yeah.
Two webcams, sorry. There's like a 2 webcam for the tracking too, and like you use like balls, lighted up balls to track your.
He's making it sound so
track your
medieval.
controllers, like it doesn't sound fancy because it's not, but it works.
As
because
an
it was
engineer,
cheap.
as a computer scientist, I look at it and I'm like, but do you know how hard that problem is to solve? Like, when
Absolutely.
they solved that problem,
Yeah.
it was like, what? Oh my! Because after the Wii came out, right, and then the PlayStation moves, and it was like full 6-stop. I was like, oh my god, we can
Yeah.
Like, this is such a the blob tracking algorithm was a very difficult thing to solve.
And
now it's
I
like,
believe it. It's unbelievable, and it's super cool how they did it. Right now, though, like, there are better solutions, But
Oh, yeah, yeah.
it's crazy that you were able to push like that headset with that technology without changing anything.
It was
You know,
amazing.
they used
Like,
something that they already had, and
Yeah.
that's
Well, but
that's amazing.
from their point of view, you have to look at it as like, how risky is this move on their part too, and how can they reduce the risk? And I think that the Move controllers was a really good way to okay, we've already got this on hand. We don't have to make anything new. We can use this. We can use the software that we already had that drove it, and we can push it out this way without risking a whole bunch of other stuff, because they didn't know at the time how this was going to work. Nobody knew. Especially a big platform holder like that. They've got, at the time, 40 million PlayStations out there, and they're like, oh my gosh, I hope we get 100,000 people buy this thing, or whatever. So So
and
yeah, I
then
think
suddenly it was like, boom, okay,
Dude,
sold out.
like literally, most of the people I speak to on this show and stuff, or people in the community, they fell in love with VR because of PSVR, because it was so easily accessible and price-wise, it was accessible to them. So
I think it was because of the content. PlayStation VR,
Mm.
you know,
Oh,
a couple of years ago
exclusives.
had the
That's
best
true.
content that you
This-
could get.
I'm glad
This
you said
is
a couple of
still-
years ago, because it's interesting how things have
It
changed.
switched around a bit in a minute, but one of the things that PS5 will bring back in, or I hope will bring back in, is something that's been sorely missed, and everybody knows it's been missing from this generation. That's some of the sim side of things. Gran Turismo in particular, where Gran Turismo is a fully fledged VR game.
I
That
actually-
is something that will really, really change the landscape for Gran Turismo and Sony and PlayStation and even the PSVR as a headset. Even if it is the current headset, the VR inside of Gran Turismo Sport is beautiful to look at
It still
on the
is.
Pro.
Yeah,
Even
it is still. Yeah.
what is missing is everything else, like other cars being on the track or being able to
Just a little
Actually-
detail.
What is missing
a
is the whole
racing
game.
game.
It's
Yeah.
racing.
The
Yeah,
racing
yeah.
aspect. It's the racing aspect of it. But if you could go in and you can go, okay, I can learn how to drive these tracks, the whole driving school in VR, which none of the PC side of racing games have a driving school that is as good as the one in Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo is
The
excellent.
driving school in Gran Turismo Sport, is fantastic. It's a great way to pull someone in, teach them how to drive a racing car.
I don't know if you know or realise that Salsa loves VR racing. I'm not sure if you've picked that up yet. I don't know.
But
I think
anyway.
I started to understand it like just right now.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
It's,
Yeah.
it's the same on flying games as well. I like anything that goes fast, basically.
It was funny. They, Render Reality again the other day was talking about micropros. Do you remember micropros?
Oh yeah, they're back.
Yeah,
apparently
they are
that-
back.
Now, do you know some details about this, guys, at all? Because I didn't really catch all the details. I was at
Really?
work. Yeah, micropros are back. They were the guys that I remember having sim games, and you used to have to put the like paper cardboard thing over the keyboard,
Keyboard.
so
Yeah.
you knew what to press.
Yeah,
and
they were
apparently,
very big in the 80s.
yeah, I
and
don't know if they're
90s.
making a VR game or they're making
Yeah.
a game which is a multiplayer game, where you're in a tank or in a ship or something. Does anyone know any details about that at all? Like any more than
Not
that?
really.
Either way, it's exciting that they're coming back. They must all be in their pension funds thinking, I need to top up this pension fund. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back. So yeah, that's crazy really when you think about PS5, right? PSVR 1 on the PS5 with PS3 controllers.
Yeah.
Well, not only
Yeah,
that, so
yeah, no, that
there's
is
one
nuts.
there's one other consideration. And so when they showed the controller, what was that, a month and a half ago or whatever, I looked at that immediately and went, that you can't track that with the current PSVR system. That's untrackable. So you have PSVR games that are on PS4 that if you brought them to PS5, you'll have to use a DualShock 4 to play them.
Yeah, they're
So my
relying on
question
you.
is-
Yeah.
So my question is, does the DualShock 4 work on the PlayStation 5? I don't know. I haven't
Yeah,
heard anything.
they've already confirmed.
It would have to
Confirmed
because
that-
it's going to have
well,
to
it
use the
would have to.
camera. It's going to have to use all that
It would
stuff.
have to use
So,
the
yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
so they did confirm.
we didn't see the back of the DualShock 5 controller.
I thought they
Haven't
showed a
seen
picture and there was no
that's-
light bar.
Oh yeah.
No, but that's a part of the other issue. There isn't that. Well, here you go. There isn't this light bar there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the lights down the side of this part like you have? And I don't know if you have the single light along the top. I keep on wondering at one point if they're going to give you another adapter or something else because there's talk of an additional camera add-on or something. I don't know.
The
Where
chat's
you
saying
then
the light is
track,
in the top.
yeah, when you then track from the headset positioning rather than the camera light.
I would be surprised if that's what they did.
But that's,
I think it's going to be somewhere you're going to have to use a DualShock 4 on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, that's why I found the thing you had there for the gear as particularly interesting, because that goes along similar routes.
It is, and it's a lot of money to produce that stuff and expect people to buy it. That's the problem. Like, oh, I've already got my headset and all this other stuff. Why do I have to buy another box? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Also, it doesn't make sense to base like the next generation of PSVR on the same technology of the first one. It doesn't make sense at all. So.
No, it doesn't. But if you also had that, you have that combination of, you don't always necessarily have to track a headset and its hand controllers by the same method. So that's why the Pico 2 as well was an interesting thing to me, where you have the headset itself is inside-out tracking, whereas the controllers for the Pico 2 are magnetic-based.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so
you do have to, consider that increases the cost and complexity, right? If the tracking system can be unified, that helps it a lot. But if you have multiple types of tracking systems, that does cause problems.
Yeah, it can do. It can solve other problems in other ways, though, because one problem for one part is not necessarily the same problems that you face in the other. For example, with outside tracking to room scale tracking track that way, where you're using lighthouse tracking, is great for head position or whatever, and you don't have to worry about the controller being behind your back and all of this stuff. And the same goes for magnetic as well. Even if you have magnetic base and you have only cameras for the eyes, you can still tell when a controller is behind your back.
But I guess with that same reasoning, then why not track the headset with magnetic tracking, right? Like just have a base station.
Exactly.
You put down, you track everything.
Exactly, you can as a method.
Well, they tried it. I think the problem with magnetic is just there's a technical problem with the field being able to be interrupted. And I think that's really your issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you turn on the microwave or some popcorn, it's gonna go nuts.
Nice. So I take it, are you guys going to be tuning in on June the 4th to watch the PlayStation 5 gaming announcements? I mean, a lot of people are obviously talking about PSVR. I don't think you're going to see any PSVR personally.
No.
No.
And I know everyone wants to think they will, but I'm pretty sure they won't. This is for the big users. Do you know what I mean? This is for PlayStation, PS5 users.
What do you mean? We are not big users?
No, we are, but I just think the VR, like, in a way, like, so I've interviewed and spoke to many developers. I even spoke to the guy, I think, what was his name? He helped develop the tracking on PSVR. Dave Reynard. He was one of the guys who I think used to ride a bike with the hat on, with the light, and you know what I mean, or film someone, and that's how they he was back in the day of, he basically invented, I think, partly the PSVR tracking system. I just think to myself that when it comes to PSVR 2, I just don't, as you're saying, I just don't think there's going to be anything, and people are hoping there's going to be trailers of games, of PSVR 2 games, and I don't think there's going to be anything, unfortunately,
I think, though, it's going to be very interesting when it's going to come out. It's going to be really something that you want, because Sony's really good at that. They showed also, like, lately there was a video about the hand tracking with the controllers and stuff that was done very well, even better than the index controllers. So of course they're working on something, and of course they're gonna use that stuff, because if not, you don't work on it and show it already if there's something that you're not working on, I think. So I think we're gonna see a lot of interesting things, and the good thing is not gonna be out, as I said, very soon, so there's going to be time to have even more interesting stuff coming out. I think that it's great that are working with the on the audio with the new PS5, because there's something that probably could be integrated with the new PSVR. And they talked about it also in the super long
man.
Yeah, but
squirrely,
you do have
stuff.
obvious, the tech affair that was
Yeah.
the very deep dive, but they also talked about that technology comes a lot from what was done with the PSVR and the breakout box, because that
Right.
has its own spatial audio processing in the breakout box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now they're not gonna need that part anymore, and they can do it directly from the console. I feel like we're gonna see a lot of interesting things, and they're gonna have to keep the price down because we're talking about console market.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking? I mean, I want to go into something else as well after this, but what do you think it'll come out at? And do you think is going to be multiple versions of it?
I don't think it's gonna be multiple versions, to be honest. That would be a suicide.
Yeah.
Do
you remember when the Xbox 360 come out? There was one
I'm
without
intrigued.
a hard drive and one with a hard drive, and then everyone got it home and they were like, "Hold on a minute, I can't say
I got the wrong one."
I was like, well, that was so funny. They just wanted to get an Xbox 360 in someone's home, and then they charged you like loads of money for like a 120 gig hard drive. It was crazy. And
yeah, that was crazy because you had to put the one on top. Weird.
I'm thinking 499, the 500 mark. Do you think that, or do you think they can go higher this time? Because obviously
for the PlayStation or for the PSVR?
PS5.
PS5. I don't know. I read a lot of rumors about stuff because they were aiming to $399, but things got complicated because of the market, and some components turned out to cost more than what they were expecting. Also, it seems like they're having a lot of problems for an eating standpoint. So there's a lot of overeating in console. And so they had to redesign completely the heatsink and stuff. So there's some rumors that are also even saying that it's going to be more expensive than the Series X, the Xbox Series X. So I don't really know. I'm pretty sure they're like aiming to a low price, but I feel like this generation $499, I think could be the thing, to be honest.
I would love to see it at $450 because I think that is a sweet spot where a lot of people will gobble it up at that price point. When it comes to 500, that 499, I think there's a lot of people who are a little bit more apprehensive. They're going to go, that's a lot more money. Just that extra £50
I know
has some sort of psychological effect.
But I think though you guys in the UK are more used to the half the price than here in the States, where everything is like or 99 or is like the 99 before, like or is 399 or 499. 449 doesn't exist. Nobody does it.
Yeah, so over here, that's right.
Instead, in the UK, use it a lot because with the change, if not, like it would be a ripoff completely. Yeah. But here, people are not that used to the 49, so I think it's not going to make much difference because if you see 399, you say, oh, it's 300. If it's 499, it's 400. Yeah. So like
but it wouldn't surprise me. You were saying that like I don't really see the 449 very often. What you see is like, for example, the 459 or the 359.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's always that extra. It's never quite like you say. No one says it's either 350 or it's something above or below. It's never like 349. Almost. It's weird. It is weird now you're saying it. But yeah, so. I think with that loyal fan base and that huge fan base, I think they could push it higher. And I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying I think possibly people will, because at the end of the day, I'm not interested in the Xbox at all. Games Pass is fantastic, but I'm not interested in the next gen yet.
I am.
Yeah, that's the thing that'll get you. I think that's the thing that might get Sony too. Is the Game Pass? Game Pass is fantastic. I have Game Pass. I don't have an Xbox. I play a lot of Game Pass games on my PC.
Yeah, same.
So,
I bought an Xbox actually about 3 weeks ago because to play with someone. I can't remember what it was, and it was cheap. But yeah.
but that's a tough one, because new console time is also conversion time, right? It's when you can convert users from one platform to another.
Mhm.
And I think Sony's got an uphill battle when it comes to that, because Game Pass is that's going to keep people on the
Very
Microsoft
strong.
platform. Yeah.
But yes,
brought me
and
back.
but
It's
at the
brought me
same
back.
time, you had when we went from a PS3 to PS4 and from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, nobody was expecting what happened.
Do you
because
know what?
Xbox 360 was so strong.
That was a crazy
Here
shift.
it was like crazy strong, and nobody was expecting it to flop.
No.
Nobody.
That was a
And it
crazy
happened
shift.
because they pushed a little too much. So Sony has to be careful, and I think they know
Right.
that as well.
Yeah.
They are moving very carefully with everything they are doing right now.
But damn, dude, like, look at those exclusives they've got. Like, I can't really think of any exclusives on Xbox. I mean, I love a Gears of War, but I've sort of gone a bit
Halo.
with Gears of War. Halo, yeah, so that's a different kettle of fish. That Halo.
It's, it's not the same.
No,
It's not the same.
That isn't
development,
fair.
though.
That isn't fair. You can't, like, Halo, I'd
Dude.
be like, oh no, I've got to go and get an Xbox X. You know what I mean? My
But
wife would go crazy.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing, is it? It's not the same developers. It's not Bungie anymore.
It's 343. Is it?
Bungie is
343.
It's 343
Yeah.
Industry.
yeah.
That
And
doesn't
we
matter,
just
they
got
do great
in
stuff.
chat here as well. They're also saying about Sega also have big news to drop this week, which we don't know what they're going to be
Sonic.
dropping.
Dreamcast.
It's gonna be Sonic
Dreamcast
stuff.
2.
Yeah, another
They're
song.
going to be if they. Oh, that would be amazing.
What,
Can you
another
imagine that?
Dreamcast?
Same day as Sony come up with a load of stuff on PS5, so you just go, oh, by the way, we're dropping the Dreamcast 2. That would just be so
Mhm.
hilarious.
In stores today.
In stores today, oh my god, wow, that would just be.
I just
Oh.
think like many people are gonna. Me personally, I'm more for the Xbox because I love the games that there are there. To be honest, like I'm a super fan of Halo. You can see also from a little from the background over here.
I used to be, dude. I used to be massive.
I love Halo, and I can't wait for the next one. But I have a PC. It's gonna arrive on the PC as well,
Yeah.
and I'm for VR, and Xbox Series X is not gonna come out with VR in mind as well. That's what they said, at least for now. But I'm pretty sure it's not gonna happen for the same reason it's not gonna happen for the PS5. So like I see myself moving toward the PlayStation in this moment, even if I'm more for like the Xbox. But at the same time, like they're completely starting a different. They are playing two different levels where Microsoft is really pushing on the service, and Sony is still back to a console, you know. And we don't know what is going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years. But cloud gaming is becoming big, very big. Like I'm on the xCloud, like a beta from a while now, from pretty much the beginning, because I'm an insider with Windows, and it's awesome. Like it works very well. Of course, you have some latency, but that is gonna then get better with the future. And you have the Game Pass that you have like so many games included for so little price. I didn't find myself buying a game in 8 months, I think, that I don't buy any game on Xbox, and I still.
No, but you're paying that note, right? You're paying that note.
No, and the fun thing is like that I was very lucky, so probably that's why on my part I'm very for it. I was to E3.
Oh, you told me this the other day. You told me this.
Xbox invited me to the Fan Fest, so I was in the briefing and stuff. They gave us like a backpack with inside all the stuff, and there were 4 years of Game Pass included.
Oh, nice.
So like I'm free from a while. I don't have to pay. But if you think about it, like a $14.99, when you have the PC games, you have the Xbox games, you have the multiplayer on Xbox. Last year they give you the 4 free games every month. Well, it's not that bad. For sure, better than
great.
Netflix.
And it competes with Netflix, right? Because now I don't have time to watch Netflix because I have too many games to play. So I just cancel my Netflix subscription.
Yeah.
But the only other problem here is the networking, though. That is the big issue over cloud gaming and everything else there is we are dependent on having those networks, those speeds, those connections in place to do that. And a lot of places around the world don't have that and won't have that for so many years to come. You know, I know.
Isn't that what SpaceX is trying to solve with the satellite network?
Yeah, 5G, man. Everything
the Starlink.
5G. Done.
Starlink, yeah.
Yeah, and how many years will that still take?
So yeah, are you guys all getting The Last of Us 2 or?
Oh yeah.
No.
No.
I I still have to play the first one. I still that's
Didn't
a
they
big
give?
thing.
Wasn't that a PS
They
Plus
gave it
game
away.
there for a
Yeah,
while?
they just
It
gave
was,
it away
yeah, I
a few
think
months
so.
ago.
Okay,
I still haven't touched it.
I just like GT. I told you I got my PS4 for Black Friday last year. I didn't open it till the day pretty much we played together on the shooting game Firewall 0 Hour.
Yeah.
And that's what was very embarrassing for me because I kept it in the box for like 4 months. And so I just started, and I played all the Uncharted games from the first to the last.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Those are awesome.
They are
I really
amazing.
like them.
Uncharted
but I
4
think,
is graphically
I think
incredible.
that the first one was much better than all the others because the gameplay got worse with every chapter. Like, yeah, it's like
really? Oh man, I love 4. Uncharted 4 was really
it's
good.
super good for story and stuff, but you play less. I think there's less
More
game
cutscenes
in
and more
there.
interactive.
It's more
scenes.
like story and stuff. It's very
More like a
immersive.
movie.
At the end, I was like, "Oh, what an awesome movie!" I
Yeah.
didn't feel like I did that epic journey. I felt like I was clicking in that epic journey. Instead, with the first one, was super cool because I could jump, very platforming stuff.
I can't believe what I'm reading. Look, Paradise Decay, Last of Us 2, no. First game was okay, nothing special. Like, Tyriel, please, man, please.
Man,
play
The Last of Us. So I had my wife sit
Please.
down when we got the first one, the first Last of Us, and that first 10 minutes of that game, she was in tears. Like I've never seen her.
It's
Like,
an unforgettable game.
Did you ever play Ori?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, Ori is great. Yeah. Ori's
Because
great.
that one too is a game that you get in tears very fast. At least for me, like.
Mate, you got to do Tyriel.
Okay,
Please,
I will.
please.
I saw it. I'm gonna buy on G2A or stuff like that, where probably is a cheap key.
Please.
and I will play it.
And
No, I
Paradise, what are you talking
It's in
about?
there. I also have God of Wars that I have to play.
What
that is
one?
There. God of Wars.
God of Wars are fantastic, yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not that attracted, to be honest. But
I've played every single one of them. In fact, I've played nearly every game. But yeah, you got to get on The Last of Us, man. Like,
and
it's
played
one of those
Horizon
games.
Zero Dawn as well. That was super
Yeah,
cool.
that's a good one. Man, the development story behind Horizon Zero Dawn is really cool. Have you guys seen any of those documentaries?
No,
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of them.
I want to hear it. Is it?
It's a really cool story.
Yeah?
Mm.
It's really neat how that game got made. Yeah.
Did you guys? This is going. We are literally just talking about gaming now. Did you play Breath of the Wild?
Oh,
yes.
So I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn on the Pro, thinking this game is sweet. Then I played Breath of the Wild, and I couldn't go back to it because Breath of the Wild. Like, I love my graphics. Don't get me wrong, but the gameplay, like I don't think there's been any other game that wowed me so much apart from the first time I played Grand Theft Auto 3 on PS2. Like, that was amazing. Like, it's so open world and so, well, yeah, like an open world sandbox game. There was nothing else like it, Breath of the Wild, for me. And I couldn't stop playing it, dude. Could not stop playing it. Like, there's not many games that grip me like that. Last of Us is one of them. Breath of the Wild is definitely another one.
I didn't feel like Breath of the Wild was like that big of a game, to be honest. But
Oh wow.
yeah,
Really?
I wasn't impressed at all.
Oh my god.
I was
I
like,
think-
where's all the hype coming from for this game? It's like,
I think
I
I think the thing about Breath of the Wild is that Nintendo did it again, where they took a paradigm that everybody else was sort of doing, right? These open world games, and they kind of put it on its head. You know, like Breath of the Wild is an open world game, but it doesn't work like other open world games.
Like-
You know, it's Breath of the Wild is amazing. Like its design is so slick and just like so smooth every moment in that game. Yeah, it's really good.
Horizon. So
oh,
Great Tempest
okay.
said Horizon Zero Dawn is better than Breath of the Wild. No, it's not. Like literally, Horizon Zero Dawn is good, but in comparison to what the games are seemingly looking like, one is linear and one is completely.
I found it better.
Right. Anyway, let's move on to Upload VR Showcase, which is happening on June the 8th. The games so far, the time, sorry, is I think it's 8:30 PT time. I think it is. Is that 16:30? What is the time zone difference between? So it's 4:30 over here.
For the UK, for Sony, it's 9 o'clock.
No, Upload.
Oh, upload. I don't know.
I don't know what I didn't work out the time conversion, and I don't think what I've written there is correct. 16:30 BST. Would it be 5 or 6 hours behind, or something? I don't know. Either way, it is happening on June the 8th. The games so far, or not the games, but the information we've got so far is there is a new game from Fast Travel Games. Cosmophobia's got some new information. An update for The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, which I take it all of us enjoyed. Everyone enjoyed Saints and Sinners?
Oh, good.
I
Yeah.
did like it. Yeah.
Absolutely cool.
I couldn't finish it. I can't finish it yet.
What do you mean?
I'm too scared.
Really?
Yeah.
I found Saints and Sinners to not be. There's no jump scares in Saints and Sinners. It's just-
Sometimes when you open the doors, though, yes, that
I've had a
Oh,
few
yeah, it
jump
does the
scares.
explosion. Yeah, that happens occasionally. But I think the thing that I really liked about it was the tension, like the dramatic tension that happens.
Yeah,
You know, like
is the
sort of that moment
anxiety.
to moment. Yeah, the anxiety. Yeah,
And that's what is blocking me, because every time I get in, I play for 30 minutes, and then I get out, like I'm like, I need to relax.
It's
That's
good.
awesome.
It's good.
As
It's
a
got some of the
development
best-
point as well.
Sorry,
As a development point as well, in the headset, it's a lot darker than what's seen on screen. So when you see the gameplay on screen, they're actually recolor balanced for people that are watching on a flat screen, so you can see more clearly what's going on. Whereas in the headset, it's a much darker world. And I think it's important for people who haven't played Saints and Sinners to know that when they come into it, that when you're in the headset, it's a much darker and creepier world.
I think the thing that got me about Saints and Sinners, though, was just the game loop of it is a lot of fun. You know, going out, trying to scavenge stuff, you're crafting stuff, coming back, making new weapons, making yourself more powerful. But at the same time, every day, you know, the balance kind of shifts a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty good.
It is
No,
really good.
it's an awesome, like, I really love it. I really wish I could play it more, because like I'm just I couldn't, like.
You know, it also has a lot of scope to be extended as a game from its current format.
Well, that's what I'm saying about the
Sure,
update.
yeah.
I don't know what the update is. I don't know whether I mean, I'm assuming
Like,
it's.
if they put multiplayer, it becomes my favorite game.
Whoa, multiplayer, really? That'd be crazy. I could help you.
No, like that would be amazing, because I can actually be with somebody, so
Yeah.
I'm not super like
We got your
tense
back
every
type of
second.
thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I would
You get the back
as
with
long
each
as-
other.
As long as in the multiplayer you can't accidentally stab somebody while you're trying to stab the zombie, you don't stab. Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that was funny. No!
The shotgun. The shotgun. I'm always like banging it into things when I'm trying to get it out. You know, like, bang, God damn it.
I would literally just like get on Tyriel's back like a piggyback. Just go, come on in, let's go, and I'll stay with him that way. Yeah. So
You
then
know, that's something we tried into the top. I had a thing where I put a climb pad on another player's back so that you could climb on them and then they jump around.
That's super
Yeah, that
cool.
was
that's a
pretty
pretty cool mechanic,
Well,
actually. To
Well,
reach
that
high
actually,
places on a
you know,
co-op
that
level.
happens a lot with what do you call it, doesn't it? Echo, where you
Oh,
got
that's right. Yeah.
the boost
Well,
but-
mechanic of.
onto the top, it got crazy anyway, because in the multiplayer you can chain the placeables, right? So you can kind of make a human cannon and shoot yourself around. But the same thing would happen because you could leap, right, and then leap off of a jump pad, which would make you go fast, and then the guy on your back would jump again, and then that guy would just go rocketing across. Just like, yeah.
Excellent. The other games are Lo-Fi. Have you guys got that on your radar? Lo-Fi?
Lo-Fi, yeah. Bought into that obviously on the Kickstarter.
I need to check it out.
Amazingly beautiful to be in that world.
It is really, really cool. It's another one of those that I played. I got early access to it, and I was just a bit like, oh, this will be okay. But when the music hits you and you're going in there, it does feel so cyber.
You're sort of like, I am in cyberpunk heaven right now.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good.
It's you know, it's the cyberpunk of the VR world, basically.
Hasn't he also now added like he's added Finn's Arcade, hasn't he, from Tron?
Yeah, Finn's Arcade with a actual emulator inside it, so that all of the cabinets can be populated with the original games.
How cool is that? So yeah, that's one to keep your eyes on. Panther VR, which I think I got early. Did you get to play that, Tyriel? I think I did as well.
I know I didn't.
Panther VR.
I didn't try it. There wasn't a stand at E3 last year, but I didn't have enough time.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, that's looking good. That's like another stealth game. Cartoony graphics again. That looked pretty cool. The reveal of a social VR experience. The reveal of social VR experience Play Bunker. I don't know what that doesn't ring any bells to me at all. An exclusive look at Area Man Lives. Another one I've not heard of personally. Cloudhead Games outlines Pistol Whip's 2020 roadmap, because we know we've got some content coming. Is it June? We've got some new content coming for Pistol Whip?
Yeah, well, they do something every month.
Yeah, so we've got some new content coming that way. A new look at Traffic Jams, which I believe is from Vertigo Games.
Vertigo, yeah.
Yeah, and then first gameplay of Resolution Games, Bastion, or Bastion, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so... and that's
Bastion the one from the creators of Firewall Zero Hour?
No, that from the makers of Akron.
Akron, okay.
Yeah, so Firewall Zero, that would be... you're on about Solaris, which is their next
Solaris,
game.
Yeah. There's no news about it?
I've not... I mean, this is the list that I got off their website.
So it'll be the first gameplay for Resolutions Games, Bastion.
Yeah.
So that'll be the first gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because all we saw was that trailer, and it kind of looked like... What was the other one we played before where you got the two guys and it all goes a bit slow motion? Iron Lights. It was kind of like Iron Lights. And you couldn't... I mean, when I saw it, I was like, this is Iron Lights, but with guns instead of weapons. But people were still very hyped about it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm hyped about it as well now. So I don't want to be left out. So we've got two more things to talk about. A new Star Wars game called Tales of the Galaxy, which we can't show the trailer because it was shown on VR Strangers today. And while they were live, it got shut down. Because they're not allowed to play so that video's been blocked.
Disney.
Yeah, they are being super secretive, but that is based around the location-based stuff, and there's a book there as well, isn't there?
It's based around the Disney World location, the planet Batu.
That's
it?
it?
I read
this is excellent.
Yeah.
I didn't have to write that.
And there is books on that as well. That's titled that, so
never read a Star
Wars book. All of that stuff.
Have any of you guys gotten the opportunity to do the Disney World, the new Disney World stuff for Star Wars?
Oh,
we went.
Did I? Yes, I did in Euro Disney though.
Yeah, we went this year and we did the Rise of the Resistance ride and the Smuggler's Run. And if it's got any connection to that stuff, it'll be awesome. Yeah, the Rise of the Resistance stuff was really, really cool.
I don't have a good relationship with Disney anymore. After working there for a year and a half.
Oh.
Dude. But
it's still got the labs, input and all that.
Labs, yeah.
So
I mean, the other thing, obviously, everyone's getting hyped about this is, and I'm not sure whether we should or not, is that it's developed by the guys who done Vader Immortal and Oculus Studios.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and the fact that the Vader Immortal series is coming as a whole package to PlayStation VR means now it's out there on all the big platforms. So I think they're hoping that this is something that comes to console or PC. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. I actually think maybe the success of this has powered that, not kind of the other way around a little bit, you know. But what do you guys think? I mean, because I thought this series was amazing.
The Vader Immortal series?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vader Immortal was really good. I got to talk to some of those guys at Oculus Connect, and they were definitely a lot more focused on making sort of an experience and not so much of a game. But the lightsaber combat that they had made was really good. You know, the dojos are fantastic. I would have liked to have seen more, you know, more gameplay in with the original story. So maybe, I don't know, it'd be really cool if the next thing has some more of that in it. But if it's based on, I don't know, this is all, again, conjecture and stuff, but thinking about like the Batuu and the story from the Star Wars stuff at Disney World, there wasn't really a lot of Jedi stuff going on there. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe not as much Jedi stuff, but it's a case, I think, with VR across the board, anything like this, is if you can engage someone into the story and narrative in the right way. I mean, things like Blood and Truth prove that 100%, that if you engage someone in the story and physically and all at the same time, you can get an amazing experience from it. And, you know, that's what I want from a Star Wars game myself, is to have something that makes me feel like I am moving through the film in action, in motion, all around me happening at that time. You know?
I mean, I guess the Vader Immortal experience had that. It's just once you play the dojo, or at least for me, once I started playing the dojo, I was like, oh man, this combat feels so good.
I thought the dojo stuff was a lot better and a lot more engaging than the story, because past the some of the initial things where you actually see Vader and some of those confrontations.
He's huge, isn't he?
He's so
he
big.
is huge, first of all. You know, that is some presence. It's like, that's Darth Vader. Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
But it's
the buttons on Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Push the buttons.
That's how you defeat Vader. Turn off his suit.
Which one's the breathing? But it didn't, to me, have quite enough there. Like, there's some bits that was missing. They've still got time as developers to get to that point.
So the thing that it was missing, maybe this is the same thing that you're saying, that it just had no progression. Like, you as the player, you never progress. You don't really ever get better. You're just sort of are the way you are throughout the whole thing. And I think that's what makes a lot of adventure games fun. You know, it's that part of it's the hero's journey. There's the story of the hero's journey, but when you're talking about a video game, you as the player also have that journey as well, right? Like, where you're improving your skills.
You need to be engaged with that. You need to be pulled into that properly, so you feel your feelings and your emotions get locked into that character.
I want Knights of the Republic in VR. That'd be...
Yeah, me too. I really hope like they open up though with this game, because we already had the one with just the story, and they have an amazing world to work with, and like just being able to be on the planet, like, and do like, you know, I remember the old game, a very old game of Star Wars was a MMO. The first one, Galaxy, Star Wars
Galaxy. That was made here in Austin.
Yeah, really? That's awesome. And to think about something like that in VR will be amazing. Like, with being able to be more Jedi all together, doing quests and stuff. But that's a dream that I know that is not going to happen this time.
No, I think it will. Yeah, I think it will happen though, because there's money to be made out of the franchise, and if they're not going to be making films, they're going to be looking at other ways, and you can't deny that VR is obviously not. I think some things are started out as passion, obviously, like and dreams and fantasies, and I think this delivered a very big step. Like as we're all saying, the dojo mode was like felt like a real Jedi thing. It was amazing.
Yeah, especially in the second game.
Yeah, give me a lightsaber and like I'm I'm blown away. Like just the sound of it every time, turning it on and off, like it was just unbelievable. So
I still want to do the speeder bikes through the forest out of Endor.
Oh god, yeah.
That was when I was a kid. I remember watching that at Christmas, and I thought it was the most incredible scene in a film I'd ever seen. Like it was amazing. So yeah, and I do think things like that will happen eventually. You know, as VR grows and gets bigger.
The other thing on the ILM thing to look at is the Mandalorian too. So they've been using a lot of game technology.
Dude, is amazing.
Right. And so this stuff is all kind of coming together, right? When you're talking about VR and being able to bring that experience to people, you know, being able to put them in that space.
Yeah.
I think that's a target that ILM wants to hit. That's what it seems like anyway. So,
yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if you guys watch the documentaries about the Mandalorian and stuff, but it's crazy how much I filmed in front of a blue screen. Like, it's pretty much the whole movie. It's
not in a blue screen though. It's the set is actually all that stuff is projected in real time.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So it's not a blue screen.
Sorry, you're right, actually.
Which is a completely different thing, because it means that when you're filming that, like what you're seeing through the camera, that frame is very close to final. Like you don't have to do as much work to get that processed and done and out. So, but that also means that for those people that are on the set, from their perspective, it's like, oh shit, I'm actually here. You know, they're acting against things that are, to them, seem real. So it's, you know, being able to bring that to the general population, I think, is a lofty goal, and I think that they're going to try and do that.
Also, it's very similar to, like, as an idea to VR, because through the lens, you have to take in consideration the movement of the camera, the distortion profile to make it feel like it's the right distance with the screen on the back. With the actors, so it's already probably everything's already there to be put in a game.
Because if you go back to the Disneyland stuff, so like the Rise of the Resistance ride and the new Mickey and Minnie ride use this projector technology too. While you're in your cart and you're moving around, and they're using that projector technology to put that stuff onto moving objects and things. It's pretty awesome, and I'm pretty sure all of these techs are linked back together. So
very connected.
Yeah.
Nice. The other thing we needed to touch on was something actually that I think we should put in full screen for a second.
Actually, GT, just thinking about it, The Walking Dead probably is going to be the release date on the Oculus Quest, because it was supposed to arrive on the Oculus Quest. So probably that would, instead of the multiplayer of my dreaming, probably was going to be there, you know.
You got me hyped. I was like, wow, that'd be amazing. Yeah, the Quest version, of course. Like everyone wants the Quest version. Yeah, absolutely. You are probably right. So yeah, recently on my live streams, people have been asking, GT, have you played Blades and Sorcery? Have you played Blades and Sorcery? There's a new update coming, and it's coming on June the 4th, and we'll have a quick look at the trailer right now. So let's transition back. Nice. Yeah, so we was just quickly talking about that trailer in the background, and Tyriel was saying for him it's like one of those games that doesn't seem like he hasn't got story, I guess, is it? There's no story. You go in there.
Why are you putting that on me? You were saying that.
There is no story, and you said like it's more of a streamer game, which to me makes me think, yeah, it's more like
It's sandbox.
It's more of the thing
it's a
you put
sandbox.
on to entertain, isn't it? It's an entertaining thing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you could put a fantastic story in there, though. I think with all those backgrounds and stuff.
I mean, you can make it yourself.
Yeah.
The sandbox.
Yeah, it does. I think it looks really good, and everyone's obviously hyped for that. But yeah, the embargo for Dark Times. I don't know if I can talk about Dark Times. I'm not sure. I've got to not talk about Dark Times. I don't know what I can say about Dark Times, but it won't be long. That's about all I can say.
It is dark times.
Oh man,
we're living in it.
We're getting away from that. We're talking about different dark times.
Yeah,
The real ones.
The real ones. Yeah. So unless anyone's got any questions for any of the guys here currently while they're here, just let us know, man. Let us know. But I want to say thank you to all of you for being here as well. It's been really great. I know some of it was a bit short notice because I work a job anyway, so it's hard to get things sorted. But Tyriel, man, thank you for joining us today. You've been absolutely fantastic.
No, thank you so much for having me, and I really love this conversation because we had so many different points of view in just one chat. Dan, awesome to have you here because there was the dev side, GT the game side, me the stupid nerd side, Salsa the super sim guy. That GT was just saying. No, I feel like it was a perfect combination. I really enjoyed the conversation a lot.
Ali Jazz wants to see us all
you.
play a game together. So maybe Star Trek Bridge Crew is always a great way to get people together.
Oh God.
I think that's so good, such good fun. Yeah, and Dan Dunham, thank you ever so much for joining us from Electric Hat Games. I hope everyone, if they haven't already, please go and check out To The Top. It's an absolutely fantastic game. And if you're looking for it on the Quest, you can't find it. That's because it is only available via SideQuest. How much is it on SideQuest, Dan? Do you know? I can't.
It is $14.99. So yeah, you get it through SideQuest, and then you buy it through Itch, and then it downloads and installs. It's all set up. The guys at SideQuest do an amazing job making all that stuff work. So yeah,
they do, man. Do they make any profit? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm assuming they must. Is it advertising?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that works. I just saw recently that they're taking ads off of their site, so they're not going to have ads on their stuff anymore. Which I'm like, how is that working? I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works. But they do a fantastic job of supporting, the community. So those guys are awesome. So yeah, I mean, just regardless, if you have an Oculus Quest, go check out SideQuest. There's lots of cool stuff on there.
There is, man.
Different games that people are making. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same itch.io as well, in combination with SideQuest.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny, everyone was talking about hand tracking. It was it wasn't actually new for me because of SideQuest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. There is some great stuff on it. The Microsoft Surfaces demo in SideQuest. I think, don't call it that though. Don't type in Microsoft Surfaces. Just put Surfaces. Is still one of the best demonstrations I think of hand tracking, which is, I guess, a bit strange, but it is. It's absolutely.
I mean, it's not that strange because it's a port of the HoloLens
stuff,
HoloLens programs. It's just porting. It's like it created a bridge from HoloLens programs to the Quest, so you can port your stuff and demo it in there.
I just thought it was incredible, man.
It's super cool. Yeah, it has so much stuff to try to see the real potential of hand tracking.
Yeah, and I think also another thing SideQuest does is enable indie developers to have a platform to show an idea and see where it goes. Are people interested in this? Like Dan said earlier, is this game actually fun? Is it only us enjoying this? Is this control method only good because we've made it? You know what I mean? There's all those sort of questions that you can now go, you get people for free to try it. They can test your game for you and give you feedback. And it makes me wonder, where do you think the position of Oculus is going to be with this stuff? Because obviously there was a rumor of them going, right, we're going to do... They've obviously put out the thing, haven't they, for hand tracking now. They've said they want developers to put ideas to them now for hand tracking. Right. Where does it... I don't know... Do you think SideQuest is going to be an integral part of Quest, forever? or do you think they're
That's
going to?
good. That's a good question. I don't know. I know that it's really important right now, and I know that the SideQuest guys are working with Oculus to keep going forward. I don't know exactly what they've been talking about, but from what I understand, as it stands right now, Oculus is totally fine with it because, and I think the reason why is because a lot of these applications have already gone through the vetting process and they've been either denied or whatever.
Yeah.
And so Oculus has already kind of got their right of first refusal, right? They've already gotten to say, no, we don't want this on their platform. And so we don't really care where else this goes. And that's kind of what it seems like the attitude is. Now, I'm not 100% certain if that's what it is, but it seems like it's that way.
Yeah, and
also because we're talking about Facebook. If they wanted to close it, it would be already closed right now. So if they didn't do it, it's because they wanted that to be there.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
probably like they said, like, hey, take out the ads because we don't want you to make that kind of profit. Maybe,
I don't think that Facebook told them to take out the ads. No, I think that was a thing that Shane and the guys at SideQuest decided for whatever reason. No, because Oculus is a lot different now than it was for sure. But in the beginning, Oculus was very supportive of these sort of experimental things, right? Like on the store, it used to have an experimental section.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now, again, I'm not 100% sure, but I think right now Oculus kind of treats SideQuest as, okay, well, that's our experimental section. We just don't, we're hands off with that. We're just not going to do anything. We're going to focus on our store.
It's a big deal, isn't it, letting someone do something like that on your platform?
It's a huge deal. Like most platforms don't allow that, right? Like Nintendo is a really good example. Nintendo does not like homebrew, and stuff like that on their hardware.
Yeah.
Neither does nobody really does. But yeah, I think it's a combination of that, and then also Oculus, the current Quest is built on Android, and I think it would be hard for them to shut that down completely. And so maybe they've decided, instead of taking that challenge on, well, this is just better anyway, because it allows for more innovation and things like that to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Cool, man. I could start talking all over again. Salsa, thank you ever so much for joining us, man. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks as always, and thanks to both of you again. Great having this lovely dynamic that we have going on.
Yeah,
I always like getting these big differences of opinion and sort of ideas going around. So that's great.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks for coming.
And a massive thank you to everyone in the chat.
Us.
Thank you for your donations. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for being here. Before, after, or wherever you hear it. Because I know we also have people listening on Spotify, so thank you as well. And look after yourselves. Try and stay positive out there. Look after yourselves, stay positive, and hopefully we'll see you in the week at some point. Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.